validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Uh, yeah. 30 minutes late. Look, it's Mr. Pibb's fault, okay? I've always got a reason. Mostly it's my fault because he sent me a message that said call him when I get a chance. And I seen that I was supposed to go out, and I was like, let me go ahead and make this phone call because if not, I won't talk to his ass till this time tomorrow. Um, so Lord. So this is what happened. But before we get started, let me tell you a story. Because even though we started late, um, I tell you guys on a regular basis that we go live 7 nights a week, and we do not let the sun rise without going live. And that's why we ask you guys to like, subscribe, and hit those notification buttons so that you can be notified as soon as we go live, and then go and check those membership after the show. But mash the reaction buttons during the show to let the algorithm know that you're enjoying the show and the information that you're getting from the show, because we got a lot of information that we're going to be giving to y'all. But before we get started, because today we're going to be talking about two things. Today we're going to be talking about the automakers discussion that Donald Trump mentioned about a week ago, and then we are going to be discussing the, the negotiations as it pertains to the war and how we're starting to experience. One of the reasons why I'm still on the phone with him was because I actually found out that in other areas that gas prices have gone down like 30 cents a gallon, which shows the immediate response that the economy experiences when there's a belief that the pipeline will open back up. So we're going to be talking about that later up. Or not the pipeline, but the Strait of Hormuz will open back up. Um, but we're going to be talking about that throughout tonight's show. But what happened was, so my buddy, he called me, asked for money, and I was looking at him like, because he knows when I get paid. So before I can spend the money, he's asking me if he can get some of it, and I'm sitting there looking at him like, "What do you mean?" Um, so he made it. He painted it like an emergency, and you gotta love this shit. He painted it like an emergency, and that's what friends do. Man, I really need you. Blah 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 blah. Da 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 da. Da. You know, my car might get repoed, or my house might get foreclosed on, or blah 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 blah. So they don't give you all the details. They give you the headlines to shock you into thinking, man, I don't want my friend to go on. Let me see what I can do to help. So he tells me, he's got to make this payment. He wants to make it today. Uh-oh, I got comments. Watch Michael be like, fuck that. Oh no, that's not him. Uh Special shout out to OG Kicks. Um he's here. He said notifications not coming in. I checked and you were only 2 minutes live. Yeah, that's because I just got here. I just got here. It should have just sent the message out over the last 7 minutes that I had went live. I like we were supposed to start at 11:30, and I started at midnight. You ain't missed nothing. I ain't even gone. I ain't even gone over all the stuff we do for the week. But look, let me tell you the story before we get into the Strait of Hormuz, because I know a lot of people want to come in and hear about the war and hear about the automakers and how they're going to try to stop us from fixing our cars and all this other stuff. So look, real quick, as I tell you the story. Guy explains it to me that he's got a car payment, is due now. He wants me to give him some money and put on the car note so that his car isn't late. I'm thinking he ain't been paying his car. They're probably gonna come out there repo man style and snatch his car. I'm like, hold on, let me see what I can do. And then I'm like, wait. The money that I got coming in right now is actually supposed to go towards a mortgage payment. So I can't use that money because there's no way that you're gonna get your money back to me by the time the mortgage payment is due. So that would put if I would have said yes, you could take money from me to go take care of your thing, then I would have been put in a compromising situation, and that's not good. So I was like, no, 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 no. We're gonna have to find another way. So it because the way he worded it was he would take my advice and let me use my credit cards to pay for some things that can be paid for by a credit card, and then he take my cash and then use my cash to pay his car note. I was over here looking at him like, well, shit, you should have took your advice and did that with your own shit. You should have went to your credit card and paid for the light bill, water bill, car insurance, and other shit that you were supposed to pay for the month, and then take the cash that would have went towards that and pay for your car note. That way your car note would have been covered. Uh, and then he was telling me, how he's going to be all right next month because business is starting to pick up, money's starting to work out in his favor, blah 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 blah. He's got clients from contracts that he's doing some trading and not even stock trading. He's doing collectibles and he's making money. Basically what Michael does with picking stuff up from the States and flipping it, he's got some collectible items that he's flipping for more money than what he's paying for them. And he's doing good with that. So I'm like, okay, cool. But what's that got to do with the conversation we're having right now? Because apparently you don't got enough money. Well, story turns out he got an offer for a credit card that claimed that if he put money down, that they would double it. Right now, here's the problem. Here's the problem. The cash that he was supposed to pay for his car insurance, or not a car insurance, his car note, the cash he was supposed to pay for his car note went towards this credit card situation. even they haven't doubled the amount of credit line that he's supposed to have. But even if they were to, he put up like $400 or $500 on the credit card, and that would give him $1,000 credit limit eventually, allegedly. But he took the must pay in cash car note money and put it towards this endeavor. And now he's short. These are the financial decisions that I tell you guys about on a regular basis that you have to time that correctly. You have mandatory only can be paid in cash bills, right? Sometimes it's the mortgage. Sometimes you can pay the mortgage with a credit or debit card, but a lot of the times you don't want to pay that convenience fee because when they tell you 3% convenience fee, it's not a lot of money when it's 3% convenience fee on like 100 bucks, because that's like $3. And if it was 3% convenience fee on 100 bucks and you were paying $300 for 3 months, that $3 would stretch to $1 a month, and you would only have to do it that one time. But when they start talking about like a 3% convenience fee on like $1,000, $2,000, this, that, and the third, it's like, bro, you're still talking about 30 bucks, 50 bucks, 75 bucks. I don't want to pay that kind of money, right? So sometimes mortgages, you're not going to pay that convenience fee. You're just going to go ahead and do like an ACH transaction or debit card transaction and let them charge it so that you don't have to pay that convenience fee, right? Now, these are the bills in your life. And I'm going to talk about this before we start talking about Donald Trump, because I know a lot of people got stuff to say. But these are the things that I talk to you guys about when you're organizing and budgeting your life. First thing you need to do is you need to get the bills that must be paid in cash. Those get paid first. Then all of the bills that can be charged to a credit card should get charged to a credit card. And then you can reallocate your cash in two ways. One way is you can pay the minimum balance if you need more money than you have. And another way is that you can pay the credit card off 5 days before the end of the billing cycle so that it clears before the end of the billing cycle so that the balance is paid off, the credit card is showing utilization, but you don't have high balances on your credit score. That's how you juggle money when you don't got enough, right? And you're not paying the fee every month, the 22% fee, the variable fee every month, because you're rolling balances over from month to month. Because that's what old school used to do would be to put the money on the card and just pay the minimum balance and say fuck it. Well, the 22, 25, $50 a month that they're charging you to do that, that's extra money out of your pocket over time. But if you were to a day after the billing cycle rolls over. So you see the statement, then you start charging up the card. Bring the card up to about 80%. You don't want to max out the card because that might show up. Overdrafting the card might show up on your credit report too. Having a maximum payment on the credit card being higher than the limit on the credit card is a reflection of your credit report. So you don't want to do that. But 80% of your credit card and then paying it down. Since it is stuff that you would have taken cash and put on your credit card, that would be something you can pay back. So you're not spending money that you don't have, which will give you the capabilities of bringing the account back to zero or leaving $5 or $10 on the card so that when the billing cycle rolls over, each balance is low. That would be a way to keep your credit cards revolving, keep your balance low, keep your credit score high, and give you extra cash to cover emergencies. But what I didn't like about my buddy, because I know that Michael remembers when I talked to y'all about how I had added my buddy to one of the phone lines that the extra phone lines I had because it was a free line. I wasn't paying any money for it. So him using it wasn't going to hurt me any. So since it wasn't a financial strain on me, it's like, well, I'm going to save you this money, but take that $100 a month that you were supposed to put on your phone and put it into the bank so that you have extra money to pay for shit. Now, had he been listening to me since I did that, I think back in March, he would have had like 3 months worth of money there where he could have used that to go and get the credit card instead of taking his car note money and paying for the credit card. So I explained to him, I said, look, bro, I don't know what you're doing with your money, but for some reason, even though I'm paying $125 worth of stuff for you every month because his Netflix is on my phone bill and he's got an extra phone on my phone line that I don't have to pay any money for. And that's money he doesn't have to pay for because I consolidated his stuff into my expenses and wrote it off on the business taxes. I'm looking at like, bro, I just saved you $125 a month. You should have in 3 months $450, which should cover your damn car note. What's going on with your money? He's not making smart moves. I talk about this as a side note before we get to the show because you guys got to understand that I can give you all the financial advice in the world, but if you don't budget your money correctly, okay, you're not going to improve. You're going to go from living from paycheck to paycheck forever. So, Guy is living above his income level. Then he's trying to make financial decisions above his income level. And then he has to borrow against a stone. And he's got other incomes in his house. He lives with his mom. He's got his mom's money. He's got his mom's wife's, I mean, his mom's husband's money because, like, so everything. I see you again, Daniel. I had put your comment up there on the show when we had first started. But special shout out to Daniel. Him and Steven was here during the intro. Appreciate you swinging by and lingering for us on tonight's show. We're about to get started with the discussion about the automakers and everything. I just had to have this little small tangent right when we got started. Um, but he, like I said, he's got extra income, and one of the funny things was that when his mom thought that he had money, she was asking him for extra money. He was like, "No, I can't, spend this money. I got bills I got to pay, blah 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 blah." And I told him, I was like, "No, fuck no." I would have told her, "Hell no, fuck no." Like you're calling me to borrow money to pay for your car. Your mama got money coming in. Your daddy got money coming in. You don't got enough money, and you can't go to one of them and say, "Hey, let me get the $450 to cover my car." So why the fuck can they come to you and ask you for anything? It's like, no, bro, we're in this together, and money comes out of my pocket and go into yours, but nothing comes out of your pocket and goes into mine. That's not a no, no. So if you, whenever they ask you for something, the first thing you should say is no, because when I needed money, I got to go borrow it from a friend. I can't get it from you. No. But I wanted to talk about that real quick before we got started on tonight's show because that that situation was wild, and that's one of the reasons why we were late for the show today. But um, neither here nor there. I tell you guys this stuff for a reason. I tell you guys this stuff because I want you guys to benefit from making better decisions. Because anybody who is a Captain Save 'em kind of person who wants to help their friend out, their friend is in a finance, and he made it seem like, oh yeah, the car's gonna get repossessed, blah 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 blah. Bro, the car's due right now, so you're late by like a week or two, right? And it's not gonna kill you to pay them 3 weeks late instead of 2 weeks late. But the car is late. It's not 2 months late. It's not they're gonna repo it next month kind of thing. It's just you didn't pay it on the 15th and it's after the 15th. That's pay it on the first and then make another payment on the 15th. You'll be fine, right? It'll show up on your credit report a late payment, but it's just like you fucked up with your money because you spent your car note money on getting a secure credit card. I would have never done that. But I gave him some financial advice. I'm like, look, do it like this so that you don't make this mistake in the future. And then if you've got extra money left over after you pay all of your cash required bills, then you can take the extra cash that you have in your pocket and start making different decisions that can be charged onto the credit card kind of thing, and then pay off the credit card before the credit card's due. But only charge the credit card after the billing cycle has rolled over, not when they mail you the note. After the billing cycle is rolled over. That way, you've got 4 weeks to pay them back. So on to today's show because I had to get that out because I was like, wow, that's crazy. Uh, we go live 7 nights a week. Monday, today, we're going to be talking about business and politics, how politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Tuesday, we talk about different ways to make money, save money, budget money, and earn money. And that's why I went on that tangent today for the last 20 minutes because I want you guys to understand that a foolproof plan doesn't always work for fools. You have to make the right decision and time that decision because the decision that guy could have made could have been a good decision if he would have did it after his car was paid for, right? But doing it before the car gets paid for causes a lot of problems. So we talk about different ways to make, save, invest money, different ways to budget money, different ways to spend your money, and we talk about these things on Tuesday. Wednesday, we give you guys information about different countries around the world to invest in and potentially live in for more affordable than the current country you're living in, depending on where you stay. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we give you guys information about personal development, self improvement, relationship topics, socialization, negotiations, building your brand. And then we start talking about promotions, raises, retirement, and uh, termination. So we give you guys a full on discussion about how to improve your personal decision making skills as well as your business decision making skills. So I want you guys to understand that because your personal decisions negatively impact your money. And I gave you guys that example today because if I would have taken any money that I would have had trying to help out a friend, that would have been a personal decision that would have cost me upcoming expenses for the first of the month, where I would have had to then scramble to get money together to cover my finances. And God forbid, I tell you right now, Stephen, we just did the stock party. I tell you right now, I looked him in the face and I was like, bro, I am not about to can't the stocks are down in my favor. I've been invested in these stocks. I am not about to sell these stocks while they're down so that I can help you with a bad financial decision that you made. I'm not doing that. I said, no, I know I got the money in the stocks right now. If I was in a situation where I was screwed, I would sell some stocks and get it into my account to cover what I need. But I'm not about to take a massive loss so that because if the stocks are down when you sell, you lock in the value when you sell. They some of the stocks that I have were higher because I was buying them before the war. And after the war, those stocks went down. So any stocks that I sell, I risk selling stocks that were bought before the war because you can't control which ones get sold. When you buy them over a period of time, it's like you're baking in the chaos into your average stock price. So some stocks might sell, some stocks might not, but you're guaranteeing that you're going to take a loss if you sell it while it's down. I was like, nah, I'm not selling it while it's down. As long as the stock is below where it was when I started, bro, I'm not selling shit. I'm gonna keep adding to it. So if I can't afford to add to it, I won't add to it. But I'll be damned once I add to it that I'll sell it. I'm not doing that. So there's a line in the sand, you know. Maybe if my dad needed something, I might sell shit, but no. I balanced the budget, but I told him because he was like, "Yeah, I figured that I could help you out." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. You don't understand. Like, I don't have to make my first bill payment until June, so technically, I don't have to worry about paying bills until July, in the middle of July, where technically I will be charging my bills to my credit cards in July because everything's paid for. Is I don't need nothing self-sustainable. Steven says, I'll eat ramen noodles once every 2 days before I sell. Sheet, I be eating 2 packs of noodles 4 times a day before I sell these stocks. They tripping. As I looked at it, I'm like, nah, sir. But that's very important for you because like on Sunday we do questions and comments from the fans. That's the last thing we have to talk about. But I just want to make sure that y'all know, like, look, you've got to draw a line in the sand and let your friends and your family and people around you know, like, hey, look, I am not going to make bad financial decisions because you made bad financial decisions and he didn't tell me how he fucked up his money before he asked me for money. He asked me for money, making it seem like it was a dire emergency. Like if I don't do this, they're gonna take life support off his mama or something. And then when I started working through his situation, I come to find out you fucked up your money and now you're calling me for a bailout. And I'm like, no, no, I don't need to bail you out on this, buddy. I don't need to bail you out on this. You know, if and I told him, I said, look, if you would have been 2 months behind and you needed at least 1 month's payment to keep them from repoing your car, I would have got you. I would have held you down. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want them to take your car from you, so I would have made that sacrifice. But you would have had to give me back and some, because like I told y'all before, I if I'm loaning the money because I'm not gonna give it, I'm gonna loan the money. It would have been a contract, and you would have had to pay me back, 10, 20%. So if I'd have gave you 500, you'd have had to give me back 550 like Amp Scott, but I would have helped you out. I would have held you down. You know, but you can just call the people and be like, yo, bro, something happened. My money's late. I got you. I'll make a payment on the first and make another payment on the 15th, and that'll catch me up. And they'll be like, cool. And since you ain't missing payment in a minute, the dealership might just say, "No, don't worry about it. You just keep making your payments. We're just gonna roll it into the next one and blah 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 and adjust or whatever the case may be, and you'd be fine that way as well." He said, "Where do we send flowers? Look, hey, look, I'll unplug her for you, bro. Save you some money." Ain't nobody buying none on Amazon, and Mama ain't hitting them. Because that's the same lady that bought. She told him one day that the rent went up so that she could buy a $500 chair from Amazon. He gave her extra money for the rent. Then a big ass chair came in from Amazon. Then he had to put the chair together on his day off, like a look now. And I'm sitting up here, look, bro, I would have sent that shit back. Fuck you, mean? I thought we were short on the rent money. But this is important because generational financial decisions. I don't like ragging on my boy, but this is generational poor decisions. Ancestors. Mama spends money at the most inconvenient time, negatively impacts the bills. Child sees what he thinks is a good opportunity, impulse takes action on it, and negatively impacts his bills. So he's spending money at the most inconvenient time, negatively impacting the bill. Just like mama, legacy. The next generation learns from the last generation. Now the difference is that he doesn't have anybody to fall back on besides me to kind of cover the shit up. The problem is that you got to start preparing for your own mistakes. If you know that you end up in situations once every 2 3 months where you don't got enough money, you know what we call rainy day money. We call money when you're making more money than you normally makes on certain seasons for the other seasons that you know you struggle on. That's called rainy day money. Rainy day money, you want to take money, the extra money that you get, and instead of spending it, you want to put it somewhere so that when you don't have enough money to make ends meet, that you can use that extra money. Michael's right, bro. We ain't even got to worry about sending flowers, bro. I'm talking about some where is the plug? Because I need to unplug this life support system and charge my phone. It is what it is. We going nuts on this situation. But yeah, we I had to get through that because that was a wild one. That was a wild one. But look, today we're supposed to be talking about what's going on with Donald Trump, and I know that there was a lot of people that was coming here to hear about it. Um, Donald Trump has been making some headlines with two very different but very bold claims. And first thing that he made was the war in Iran is essentially over, and that the Strait of Hormuz will be open, solving one of the biggest drivers of the high gas prices. And you should see and experience those gas prices going down real quick. Second, he claimed that automakers want a secret bill that will ban you from working on your car, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Both sound like a wild headline grabbing statement, but are they right? The real answer to both is far more complicated and reveals a hidden two front war being waged against your wallet. And that's why we talk about these things. He says, you're going to unplug her from life support in order to plug my phone up so I can charge my phone. What you mean, man? What you mean, man? Look. I'm gonna tell you. He said I'll never go for that. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. Uh, if your life is harder because certain people are in your life, it is your responsibility to remove those people from your life. If pulling the plug will make your life less difficult, I'll pull the plug for you. I trip over that son bit. I flip a breaker on that bit. You know what I mean? I just, turn the machine off, just like whatever. You know, you say it's heartless, but look, I'm gonna be real, man. I'm gonna be real. They, you can never forgive me for it, but when you start making more money, make money for you, you ain't gotta thank me. What I would have did, I would have put a life insurance policy out on that ass before I pulled the plug. That way you being the beneficiary. As soon as you unplug that motherfucker, you get your check. You're welcome. He said, use the morphine drip. Nah, 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 nah. See, using the morphine drip is an issue. The reason why using the morphine drip is an issue is because um you are actually over medicating the person. A power surge could have tripped the breaker, and if the person can't breathe on their own, it is what it is. But if you add too much morphine to the situation, you would deliberately be killing the I mean, yes, technically you would be killing the person in either way, but you would be in a less ethical fashion killing a person, because if you could have unplugged them and they could have survived without life support, you would have saved some money on them breathing on their own. But if you over medicate them with morphine where they could have self-sustained, that is something I'm not going to do. So I'll unplug it and let's see how well your lungs work. But I'm not going to turn up the morphine drip. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. If you're going down that scenario, you might as well just like Kill Bill and like pillow over the face kind of situation. That's just like, I don't know. Like I'm not saying that you need to go over there and just start offing people. I'm saying that you should just natural selection the situation. Because if you can breathe on your own, then I can save money on your medical bills. But if you can't breathe on your own, then I kind of got to go pay my car note. All right, back to the main topic. While there isn't a specific secret piece of legislation that currently says that you are banned from fixing your cars, Trump claimed had tapped into a very real and very quiet war being waged against you guys. And I know that a lot of people have heard, and it is a true story, that several junkyards have been set ablaze in a short period of time, forcing old car owners to not be able to repair their cars because the parts aren't accessible. There's a war that is fought in the halls of international diplomacy and another fought under the hood of your car. And this is going to be the battle for your right to repair. And it's going to be a fight that automakers are spending tens of millions of dollars to win. They don't want you to fix your own car, and they are using software, subscriptions, and property parts to proprietary parts to make sure that you can't. And while politicians distill these complex battles into simple slogans, understanding what's really happening is the only way to protect yourself. So before we do anything else, let's start with the global stage. Uh, in recent appearances, Trump has portrayed the situation with Iran as if the war is effectively over. He described a great settlement and suggested an agreement could be signed within days. He claimed that Iran has already agreed it will never have a nuclear weapon, his non negotiable condition for any deal. As part of this, he says the Strait of Hormuz, a critical channel for global oil, will be opened to unrestricted shipping as soon as the contract is signed. However, independent reporting paints a different picture. What exists is not a finalized deal as of today, but a draft or a conceptual framework. A memorandum, when y'all understand how them MOUs work, a memorandum of understanding, MOU, that officials describe as largely negotiated but not yet formally signed. So you want to think of it like a term sheet in a business deal. The big headline points may be agreed upon in principle, but the binding contracts and details are still being hammered out. He said corporate profit and vehicle complexity. That's exactly what's gonna happen. We're gonna be getting into that in more in detail coming soon. But yes, that's exactly what's gonna happen. So people like me and Steven that like rocking 20-year-old cars, as long as there are parts out there to fix those 20-year-old cars, we're not going to be forced to buy the newer 2026, 2027, 2028 models that have this stuff factored in. but they're going to have complex vehicle designs that are going to have complex structures that bakes in the warranty. Where if you modify the car in certain ways, it voids the warranty. You're going to have certain stuff that we're going to be talking about later, like serial numbers on certain parts that have to be scanned by the ECU. And if it doesn't register certain parts, the car won't start. So you got to contact the dealer and get a dealer code that tells the ECU that these parts are legitimate. The dealer is going to charge you that specific price or a specific price in order to get that code so that you can start your car, which means that each time you get your car fixed from somebody else, you're going to pay that mechanic for the repair, but you're going to pay the dealership for the code to use the car after the repair, which also means that the mechanic might charge you even more money on top of that so that they can start getting these codes on a regular basis from the 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 dealership. And the irony is because as we're going to be talking about later on in the show, how these are going to be serial number specific codes. It's not going to be a standard. Once I get this code from the dealership, I can use it on all the models from this dealership. Each time you repair a car, you got to call the dealership, give them the VIN number, get a code, and then put that car back on the road. So it's going to be a huge issue. But for people like me and Steven who are buying cars that are like, and Michael too, that are buying cars that are like 20, 30 years old, we're not going to experience that as long as cars are being sold for, as long as cars are being sold that are still part replaceable for the next 15 or 20 years. So by the time we get grandfathered into this particular business model, the 2026 cars in 2046 and 2056, that's when we're going to kind of be stuck because outside of buying 90s model cars that, you know, to the best of your ability, rebuild them and keep them antiques. Outside of those, the average everyday car that'll be sold from the dealership from 2026 going forward, 2027 going forward, are going to be vehicles that are going to have so many different parts on them that you must get dealer codes from. You got no choice but to say, well, fuck, if it's certain after a certain quantity of repair, I'm gonna have to uh trade my car in and go get something else. He says, so used cars will go up in value. Well, see, that's the problem. It's a two-part problem because people are discouraged from buying brand new cars off the lot because of the initial price. Certified pre-owned vehicles is what's encouraged. So somebody is gonna go and buy the car first. Somebody else is gonna go buy the car after it has like 5 or 10,000 miles on it. That person's gonna ride it for 50 to 100,000 miles and trade it in, and that's when it becomes a used car. Now, um, if used cars cannot be repaired, used cars will effectively become discontinued because there are no parts for the used cars. So if the dealership is discontinuing the production of parts for certain model cars after a certain year, you are going to find yourself in 10 or 15 years not being able to find parts for 2024 because they don't make the parts anymore. And all the parts that did go out got bought up. They were destroying junkyards and salvage yards to prevent people from salvaging these parts from other vehicles so that even when the manufacturer discontinues new parts, people can't get used refurbished parts and put them on their vehicles, right? That's part of what we're going to be talking about today. Now, there's going to come a time where the only vehicles that are being sold in society is going to be used cars with the dealership restricted parts on it. We're going to be screwed. But before that, the price of used cars is not going to increase because the accessibility of parts to replace them has decreased, which means the value of the cars are going to stay the same. People afraid of experiencing buying another car because it's not new, it's new to them, buying another car and then not being able to fix it shortly after they buy it. $5 or $10,000 on a car cash up front that you can't fix will discourage you from buying used cars, and that's going to prevent the price of used cars from going up because, well, they're going up in value because what's going to happen is more people are going to be encouraged to go and buy a brand new car and not have to pay for the maintenance. Buy a brand new car and have the warranty of the new car cover the majority of the repairs on the car. And then when the car stops being covered under the warranty outside of general maintenance, that's when you trade it in and let somebody else figure it out, right? That's what the automakers are encouraging. So used cars are going up in value. Well, they're not going up in value because Americans can't afford cars right now. They're gonna maintain their values is what's gonna happen. Instead of the value depreciating excessively over time, instead it's gonna maintain its value longer because anybody who can't afford that $10,000 to $15,000 increase on car prices after the tariffs in 2025, so 2026 cars, 2027 cars, and newer are going to be more expensive than the 2022 cars and the 2021 cars. So used cars are going to maintain their value longer because people are going to be willing to sell those cars at a later date and people are going to be willing to buy that same car. So a 2008 something or other might still have the same price value in 5 years because people are still willing to buy that car, right? He says, time to make the people's car. Well, The Rock's not going to make a car, but if he did, it would be the most electrifying car on the road today. That would be a gas guzzler. It says, your next car will be an electric wheelchair. New, sir. New. And the reason why my next car wouldn't be an electric wheelchair is because the battery power on that doesn't go very far. But if I could put like 10 Tesla batteries on the back of a wheelchair, then yeah, I'd fuck with it. They have little I can't remember what they call those vehicles, but it's like a little four-wheeler wheelchair kind of thing with the dome over it, almost look like a mini Pope mobile that runs like a car. You can fuck with one of them. And that would be a whole lot cheaper. But yeah, for people who are in Florida driving like 3 hours in one direction, covering like 500 miles a day, like electric car is not your friend unless you have a good charge strategy because the average electric car has like 250 to 300 miles to it, and when you talk about high performance usage, you only get 50% of performance out of the battery life. And when you start weighing down a vehicle, you only get 50% or sometimes 25% of the performance life out of the vehicle, depending on if you're doing high speeds with lightweight or if you're doing high speeds with high weight. And that means that if you got a car with 300 miles and you're like a high performance, you're driving fast all over the place, a 300-mile range on the charge will only give you 150 miles. And then if you're thinking about putting a lot of weight in the car, like filling the car up with passengers or putting a bunch of luggage or something in the car, 300-mile charge with a lot of weight in the car might only get you 100 miles. So the problem with that is that the charge time is still going to be the charge time. So even with a supercharger to fill the battery, you might need like an hour to an hour and a half. So you would have to park your car somewhere near where you're going, charge it up for an activity that's going to take you an hour to 2 hours to perform, and then come back and get your car and still pay at the fast charger prices that you would pay at the pump, because when gas prices go up, electric prices are going to go up too. The only difference is there's less mechanical parts to fix. So you save buying an electric car saves money on repairs, but the cost of the electric car is like $20,000 more than a gas car. So the money that the $15,000 a year that you save on gas is thrown away on the price of the car. So you're really net lost $5,000 on buying an electric car. People don't talk about that, but I actually did a research project on it when I was in college. And now that the parts cost more, it costs $10,000 to $50,000 more. Now instead of it being like a $20,000 increase, now it's a $35,000 increase. Where a $55,000 Tesla versus a $20,000 Toyota or $25,000 Toyota, you're spending $30,000 more for a Tesla, where you could have bought two Toyotas for the same price. The gas you save on the one Tesla does not offset the price you paid for the car. But Steven says, if there is no ashtray on the car and a Phil Collins CD never skipped in it, messing up the song for someone, I don't want it. Look, you are talking about a car that is too new. I'm talking about a car where you got to put the cassette tape in it. I'm talking about a car where you got to put the 8 track in it. I'm talking about a car that doesn't have a tape deck in it. It's just radio and it's a turn knob. You got to turn the knob and try to find a channel. Not even a digital screen. It's analog all the way through. That's what we're talking about. He says, sounds like someone else is in our pockets. Oh yeah, there's a lot of motherfuckers in our pockets right now, bro. And that's why we're talking about what's going on with the automakers trying to make us stop fixing our own cars after what just finished happening with the straight. Trader says it will be time to switch from a car to a VTOL. I would get an electric car under the conditions that the electric car has a capabilities, whether it's an aftermarket install or baked into the manufacturing of the vehicle. External solar panels, external solar panels on the vehicle that will charge the car when the car is not plugged into the house. That is when I will find an electric car beneficial. Reason being is because you cannot find a charger everywhere in your city. You can charge your car outside of peak hours overnight and save money on your light bill, which is still going to have your light bill go up so that you're going to pay more money for electricity at your house and less money for gas on the street. But when you leave the house, the further you have to go from your house, the more power you burn on your car, and you don't always have a place to put your car that has a charge station. Not every Walmart has a Tesla station on it. Not every Home Depot has a Tesla station on it. No courthouse has a Tesla charger nearby. So no banks have a Tesla charger nearby. So there's very few places that people do business on a regular basis where they're likely to be there for a few hours that you can actually park your car and charge your car, right? But the day that Walmart does a collaboration with Tesla and put like 20 Tesla charge stations, one in a handicap for the people who are handicapped with a Tesla, and then like five at the back of the parking lot where they can charge up their cars, then that makes sense because you're going to spend an hour and a half in Walmart grocery shopping. You put charge stations in the mall parking lot. You put charge stations outside the courthouse, places where you're going to be all fucking day. That's when it makes sense. But as it stands right now, the majority of places that you go, your car is sitting somewhere in the sun, unless you have a parking garage, just chilling. And if you had solar panels on your roof, on your hood, on your trunk, it doesn't have to be sexy. They just have to be effective. Your car, especially in states that have a lot of sun in it, would self charge itself enough to where you can drive that bitch back home. It can replace some of the power lost from your trip to wherever you were going. You still got to charge the car. It's just you would charge it less. It's not going to give you a chargeless vehicle, but it would give you a lot more time to get to a charger. And the other thing that it would do that would benefit the everyday person is if you forgot to plug your car in or if something happened where the breaker broke and you couldn't plug your car in, the self-charging feature on the vehicle would give you the capability in emergencies to just sit there for a couple hours, let the car charge a quarter mile worth of power to it, and then drive it to the nearest charge station and charge it from there. Like for example, when Tesla first came out, the lady had took the car. It wasn't even Tesla. There was a lady took a gas power car. She went somewhere. She stopped by a gas station. She bought a bunch of snacks. Then she tried to drive across the Arizona desert, ran out of gas, and she stayed there for several days until somebody rescued her. Now, had that vehicle been an electric car and had that vehicle had solar panels on that car, for every 24 hours she was sitting there, she should have gained at least 1 mile worth of charge on it. And she could have just camped out in the car and one day at a time. In 3 days, she would have drove 3 miles. She would have been able to get to it, either get back to the nearest location and recharge her car, or she could have gotten to her destination on the other side of the desert where she was going. One way or another, she would not have been stranded completely because she could move the vehicle at least once a day. And that would have made more sense. Drive at night, camp in a day, right? Michael says, I'm thinking of a gas golf cart for around town. Yeah, there's some places that you can do golf carts, but there's some places because a golf cart is not considered a vehicle that can be driven on the street. But if you start driving your golf cart on the street, it's still going to have to require registration. But I mean, it's just like riding a motorcycle. So I mean, if you slap a license plate on your golf cart, the DMV allows you to do that, and you get you some Geico insurance for your golf cart, then yeah, I'd ride that bitch around downtown with it. Fuck, keeping every van for longer trips. Yep. Uh, Better yet, an electric car that flies the friendly skies. Nah, fuck all that shit. No, 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 no. Now, it is in our best interest right now to stick to flying gas power cars. Reason being, first of all, we're lazy. I'm going to start there. And the reason why I'm going to start there is because not everybody checks their gauges when they get in the vehicle. Not everybody checks their tires. Not everybody parks their vehicle in a way that forces them to do a walk around on their vehicle and make sure that there's nothing wrong with their vehicle before they get in the vehicle. Not everybody checks their lights to make sure that their lights work when they get in their vehicle. You know if a headlight is out because your headlights don't look right when you're driving at night. But you don't know if your tail lights are out until you get pulled over or some jackass flags you down and tells you, hey, man, your lights are out. Because they've been following you for like 15, 20 miles, blowing their horn and waving at you and shit so that you can pull over so that they can tell you, man, your tail lights out. Right. Otherwise, you would never know because unless you travel in a group where you can have somebody push the brake pedal and you can check the lights, or somebody else can check the lights while you push the brake pedal. If you travel alone, you never know if your brake lights work. You never know if your tail lights are on at night until somebody tells you. And because we don't check our vehicles, we getting an electric flying vehicle would have more people crashing because the battery ran out. And one of the problems with electric anything is that when the battery starts running low, the performance starts to decline. And if you don't have enough performance to keep the car in the air, you start crashing already. You're not like gliding to it's like in the cartoons. So you don't want to do flying electric anything unless you're talking about like 50 battery packs and guaranteed 5,000 miles and you're only going to do like 20% of that and you're guaranteedly going to pull over and park it and or not pull over because you're flying, but you're going to land it and park it and charge it and you know don't let more than 50% get used and mandatory part. You gotta set some parameters when you start talking about flying electric vehicles because the average person, first of all, is going to hold the manufacturer of that vehicle responsible for you not keeping it charged, right? Second of all, the rest of us would be collateral damage because some lady forgot to charge her car last night and it crashed into my car that was parked in an open space parking lot. That's not going to work. If people were more responsible, then I would say yes. But while everybody's blaming somebody else for the shit that goes wrong in their lives, I don't think that a flying electric car is a good thing. I think flying cars would be fantastic. Flying cars would be fantastic. I don't know how well behaved people would be with flying cars because if you look at the way motorcyclists travel on the road with the lane splitting thing, their reckless behavior with the lane splitting thing is it just leads me to believe that flying cars would be dangerous too. Now I would do a flying car. I'd love to be one of the first groups of people with flying cars, but I think we should start small and do hovercrafts, and then every generation kind of just make it a little bit higher until we're actually Jetson style. Now, Trump's assertion that Iran has agreed to not pursue nuclear weapons is at this stage a political claim about the negotiations, not a complete enforceable treaty with verification mechanisms. So they have not actually agreed and signed paperwork yet. He said, agree. Good point. People will fly like they drive. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my concern. People will fly like they drive. So with electric planes and with flying any kind of vehicles, people will fly like they drive. So the way that people run out of gas and they need the AAA to bring them gas is the way that people would run out of electricity and their plane would crash. They would run out of fuel and their plane would crash. And I don't need that. And then the way that people reckless drive on the streets, there's no lines in skies to tell them where to fly. In any space age movie where you see this one jackass so swerving through all the lanes of airplanes while everybody else is in an organized fashion, I believe that the first two generations of flying vehicles, everybody is going to be in different ways trying to avoid each other, like a U.S. Air Force presentation where planes are just flying everywhere and hoping they don't crash into one another. Uh, and I don't know, first generation flyers that don't have pilot's licenses and stuff would not have the skill set to avoid anything. And with the way they swerve in the street, they would swerve a plane and crash that bitch. So I don't think that would be smart. They may have to have like a lot of air train. Everybody's gonna have to get a pilot's license now in order to drive their car. um, but as it relates to the Strait of Hormuz, the same thing is going to be true for that as well. Because while some uh, escorted traffic has passed, there is no independent evidence that the strait has been fully reopened as of today on the terms Trump had described. So he's talking as if victory is achieved, but the documented reality is closer to a partial, still fragile de-escalation situation. So they have kind of stopped blowing each other up a little bit and started doing more talking, but they actually haven't signed the paperwork as of today, from what I understand. Um, Trader says it will have to be the computers flying the planes or cars. Yeah, so Tesla probably going to be the first flying vehicle that will be allowed to be on the road, not the first flying vehicle, not the first flying car, just the first flying electric car that is owned by a civilian, because they may have electric cars that fly right now, just not owned by a civilian. They're going to be considered supercars because they're multi-billion dollar vehicles. But when it does happen, electric planes or electric cars that fly or whatever the case may be. It's gonna be the fully functional AI system that's gonna be operating that. And I can only imagine that those flying vehicles are going to be upward of 150 to $200,000 with the way that they charge everybody at fucking Cybertruck. They may give you a manual override feature, um, but I think that that's only going to be allowed under certain circumstances where because they would have to have manual controls in there as well, where if the navigation system goes out on the plane, it can switch to manual so that you can fly it. Because if an EMP happens, you still got to glide that bitch to the ground. Now, this matters to you guys. What we're talking about today, it matters to you guys because the Iran conflict and the dispute in the Strait have already pushed oil and gas prices higher than we've ever seen them before, reducing your purchasing power. And if a credible deal sticks, it will help. However, just them talking about there being a deal, gas prices went down like 30 or 36% or whatever. Not 30%, but like 36 cents or whatever on the dollar. But the impact is going to be uneven when you guys experience it because with the pump prices stabilizing, middle class budgets might get a little bit of room, but lower income households, which already cut back on spending due to price spikes, will see less immediate relief. The pressure on your budget isn't just coming from overseas because a second quieter war has happened in your garage, as we were already talking about. And this is going to bring us to Trump's other claim that automakers want to prohibit people from fixing their own vehicles. While there isn't one specific piece of legislation that says you are banned from fixing your cars, Trump claims uh, have tapped into a very real fight over your right to repair. Now, you bought a car, you own the car, the title is in your name, but the second something breaks, it's getting harder and harder to fix the car yourself. Now, this isn't a future problem. It's happening right now. And it's not happening because of some cartoonishly evil law passed in the dead of night. It's happening slowly, piece by piece, through 1,000 tiny cuts. It's a war of attrition designed to make it so expensive and so complicated and so frustrating to fix your own vehicle that you'll have little choice but to go back to the dealership where they can charge you whatever they want. Or you're going to continue to forever lease your vehicles because if you buy it, it's a depreciating value. And if you finance it, it's a waste of money. So you'd have to lease the vehicle for 2 years at a time, forever paying notes on something that you never owned, and then return it ever so often so that you can get another vehicle in better condition so that you don't have to deal with the problems with repairs. And I think that's probably going to be one of the things that's going to be the most popular coming soon is car leasing. Because the difference between a car lease and a car finance is absolutely nothing. You hold on to the car, you make notes on the car, except the repairs are baked into the price. So you bring the car back to the dealership and the dealership fixes the car because it's not your car, it's their car. You're just using it. Still you have the factor that if you don't pay the note, they'll come and take the car, but you never have the benefit of saying, I'll own this car eventually, right? They'll forever get money off of you for that vehicle. The only benefit that you have on top of having leased cars is that every so often when the contract expires, you can get you another car, a newer car, and you don't have to go through the big rigmarole of requalifying for financing because once you have a payment history with that particular manufacturer of paying your notes on time and returning the vehicles in decent condition, they're more likely to put you in another one and keep getting money from you. So instead of you financing a car for 7 years and it's worth shit in three, you can actually just trade that bitch in every 2 years the way you trade in a cell phone and you always have the latest car, but you never really own anything. Trader says, I don't want to sound skeptical, but I don't believe that Iran will stick to the deal in the long run. It will be temporary at best. Well, when it comes down to the nuclear development, there are claims that Iran was using nuclear equipment to make large energy sources in their country, which is what nuclear development was for in America when they made the first nuclear bomb. It's just that when Americans realized the explosive power of mishandling nuclear materials, they decided to use it for combat instead of deciding to use it to power the country. Had they been using radiation or radioactive materials to power the country, we probably would not need an electric bill. We probably would make more sense to have a infinite or seemingly infinite power source in our car batteries that would be nuclear powered. The only problem we would have with that is the radiation exposure, the nuclear radiation exposure. But the quantity of power that you could get from a very small quantity of nuclear material that has a very low level of radiation disbursement that would be able to power a car or a truck or something like that would likely be able to power that vehicle for a number of years without having to recharge it because the nuclear power would be that's what they were researching back in the day with your boy that what Nobel Peace Prize who made the atom bomb. Like some of this stuff is what that was from. So I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I believe that while nobody's paying attention, that they're probably going to go back to researching it for maybe the use of energy disbursement throughout the city. But I don't believe that they are going to get caught over the next few years using any type of development for military tactics. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, on the other hand, I believe that once they get it open, America will keep enough ships in the area to make sure that if it looks like too many Iranian ships are going into the strait, that we'll be back at it again. So I do agree with you that at least up until Trump leaves office or up until we get another president in office that's not paying attention to the East, we will likely have a situation where the strait will be open for a while, maybe 2 to 5 years. But if we think about it's been 10 years since Trump started having a problem with Iran, and Trump's got a problem with Iran again, where it's been a decade in the making. Whatever happens now is probably going to boil over on us again in 2036. So short term, technically, but 10 years is a long time for those of us that are that was making money on war. We're not going to be making money on war. Yeah, yeah. The oil stocks are still a solid investment. Yeah, they were a solid investment during the war. They were a better investment during the war than what they will be after the war because prices were going up. Oh yeah, yeah. There's never a time where you don't buy into oil, and oil is not going to be. There's oil is going to go up like gold. It is. That's why they call it liquid gold. Oil is going to go up like the value of gold. So if you buy oil stocks, you're not going wrong. It's just that when the oil stocks was going down, you could have got them cheaper than what you would have gotten them if you would have bought them in December. But the oil stocks are going to go up. They're going to go up whether people are paying a bunch of money for the premiums or they're going to go up because more oil is being sold. One way or another, when there's profits being made with oil distribution, the oil stocks are going to go up. So you just keep buying into them, buy and hold them. And the Shell, Chevron, and Exxon Mobil are dividend paying stocks. So you can buy and hold them and they'll give you a shit ton of money and then you'll be able to reinvest those. See what I'm saying? So it is a better position for you to be in to buy in the oil stocks, which is why I put that into our stock market. Because I agree with you, it'll be about 10 years before war with Iran. And it won't be 2.0, it'll be 3.0 because we already had a conflict with Donald Trump was in office the last time. And that's why they had that first treaty signed or agreement signed. And now the second time that Donald Trump's in office, this is 2.0 because they apparently breached the agreement. And that's where the sanctions and everything came from. And that's where the conflict is now. So in about 10 years, it'll be 3.0 when it happens again. And at that point, it might be JD Vance in office when it happens. But as it pertains to the fight in your garage, the fight isn't whether or not you'll be allowed to physically turn a wrench. It's going to be about whether you're allowed to access the information and the tools required to do the job itself, because that's going to be the biggest discussion. Not will they allow you to work on your own car, because the feds are not going to be sitting outside of your garage watching you with your hood up. Because in a modern car, the most important tools aren't the wrench, it's going to be the laptop, right? So let's start with the most obvious barrier that they put up. Pop the hood on a car from the 1980s or the 1990s. And what do you see? You see an engine. You see spark plugs, wires, distributor caps, alternator belts, hoses, right? You can see the parts. You can touch them with your bare hands. Don't do it after you turn off the engine. The engine might be hot. And with a decent manual, some set of tools, a couple YouTube videos, you could probably replace most of the parts yourself, right? Now, pop the hood on a brand new car. What do you see? Plastic, giant wall of black plastic that covers everything, right? While automakers say that these covers are for noise reduction, protection, and aesthetics, they also serve another purpose. They are a visual metaphor for what's happening to the entire industry. Access is being denied. They are physically creating barriers that screams, you don't belong here, and this is not for you. But that's just the cosmetic layer. The real lockdown is going to be much deeper. Automakers have systematically redesigned cars to make common repairs physically harder for the average person, and in some cases, even for professional independent mechanics. A well known example is on a certain model, modern Ford Super Duty truck. And this is the trucks that a lot of people use for manual labor work, construction workers, painters, um, haulers, anybody who's hauling anything, right? For some major engine jobs, like a Power Stroke diesel, the official Ford service manual recommendation lifting the entire cab, lifting the entire cab, the whole body of the truck off the frame in order to deal with the Power Stroke diesel engine. While some independent mechanics have found ways to do the entire repair with the cab still on, it's a far more difficult job. You know how some people have cars where the engine is turned sideways. So instead of you having the fan and the belt in front of the radiator, you have the fan and the belt on the passenger side of the car or on the driver's side of the car, depending on which direction they turn the engine, and the engine turns sideways. So in certain cars where the motor is facing forward, you can work on the car on the sides with all the space on the sides. Now you've got the motor long ways, the space between the motor and the edges of the frame of the car is less, and now you got to squeeze your arm in there and you can't get the parts off, and ultimately you find more often than not you have to pull the engine out of the car in order to take the parts off of the sides of the motor. A lot of the times what they call drop the motor is that you have to lift the car, you have to unbolt the car, unmount the motor from the car, lift the car up, or vice versa. Yeah, lift the car up, unmount the car, and then put the motor on a stand and then lower it down so that you can work on the motor and then lift it up and put it back into the car and then drop the car back onto the ground. So you need a mechanic shop to do certain things on the car right now, right? Um, And this is a design choice that makes a complex repair so expensive that many owners will be pushed towards a dealership with factory specific equipment. Gets worse. Automakers are now creating their own proprietary tools for even the most basic components. There have been reports of BMW filing a patent for a special type of screw, one with a head shaped like their company logo. The patent suggests that fasteners could be used on things like seat mounting and cockpit assemblies. The document itself states the design is intended to prevent removal by unauthorized persons. You and those people won't be able to use common tools. While these specific screws haven't been widely rolled out, the patent reveals a philosophy of control. It's no longer just about skill, it's about whether you have permission and the special key to even begin the repair. Because think about this real quick before we go any further. Y'all remember Cadillac, 2000, model Cadillacs between 2000 and 2010, they have the battery under the seat. Well, if they put mounts on the car that requires dealer specific tools to remove the seat, you got to go to the dealership to get the battery replaced because nobody has the tools to get the seat off of the battery, and you would have to break the screws to get the seat off of the battery, which means you wouldn't be able to put the seat back appropriately, and you would be forever riding with the back seat not properly mounted to the car because you would have to go to the dealership and buy replacement parts for the bolts that you broke in order to change the battery out, right? Just think about that because they said that this was supposed to be for mounting seats and cockpit assemblies. Cockpit assemblies would be like radios, dashboards. So if you had to change out the heater coil, that's in the dashboard. Um, the steering gauge, the steering column, the ignition switch, the he said, saw that seat off. Yeah. That's what he did. You have to saw the bolts off of that seat and ride with no seat in the back, but put 2x4s in the back. Be like, fuck it. It'll be a stage two weight reduction kit because you can't put it back on like talking about it. But yeah, it'll be stuff like that, like door mounts. You know how people want to change out their stereo system and put aftermarket stereo systems in their car. These mounts would be mounting like door frames and other shit together where you just can't take certain stuff off of the car, right? So that's just one area. The philosophy is going to extend from the mechanical to the electrical. Consider something as simple as replacing that battery, because for decades, this was a 10-minute job that you could do in a parking lot of an auto parts store. Fuck, AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts, Discount Auto Parts, have no problem with going out there, pulling your battery out and putting another battery in as long as you bought the battery from them. Batteries Plus got no problem with helping you install the battery as long as you battery from them. But on many modern cars, particularly from Europe, brands like BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, it's not that simple anymore. When you install a new battery, you can't just drive away. The car's computer needs to be told that a new battery has been installed. It needs to be registered to the vehicle. So if you don't perform this software handshake, the car's charging system can operate incorrectly, which can lead to suboptimal charging and shorten the life of the brand new battery that you just bought. How do you register the new battery? Well, with a specialized diagnostic tool that has the proprietary software, a tool that your local independent mechanic might have to pay thousands of dollars for, and that you, the owner of the car, almost certainly do not have. So a simple battery replacement, a corner store of DUI maintenance, is now held hostage by a software paywall. You're forced back to the dealer, paying for labor to have a technician plug in a computer and click a button. I don't know how deep this is going to be because, like, I got a Cadillac, I got a battery in the back, and then I got a battery in the trunk. So, long as one of these motherfucking batteries is working, the other power source going to the car is not gonna. And then I got solar panels plugged into the battery that's in the trunk. I told y'all, I said, look, we're gonna if we're gonna use these solar panels, so I don't drive the vehicle every day. I've got the solar panels directly facing the east. So from sunrise to right before sunset, the solar panels are getting direct sunlight, charging the battery in the trunk. Battery in the trunk feeds the battery to the battery under the seat. Battery under the seat deals with the auxiliary power in the vehicle until I decide to get in the vehicle and charge it. I got 14 amps on the car all the time. When I get ready to crank that son of a bitch up, it cranks up because I mean there's never a situation where it's lower than 13 and a half amps because there's two batteries in the car. Now, funny thing is that if you grew up in my generation, you knew that you had to put two or three batteries in the back of your car because you put extra stereo equipment in your car, and the primary battery in the car doesn't hold that much equipment. You would put extra batteries in the car and put amplifiers in the car because your amplifier from your primary radio doesn't power all of those speakers. So you would have to add extra batteries in the car to power the sound system. The average person doesn't think put an extra battery in the car to power the car. But yes, it powers the car and it powers it well. And if you really wanted to go the extra mile, these days, before they pass the law, you can go and get a higher performance alternator and just stick it in your vehicle. And that will allow your alternator to charge both of the batteries so that you don't got to worry about wearing out your alternator. He said, when Lil Wayne said a milli, it had to do bump right. It had to bump right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Well, Lil Wayne had to when like these kids that are over here screaming 6'7". If you remember 6 foot, 7 foot, you know what I mean? When the and then you hear that bass hit, you're like, ah, yes. When um um Lil Stomp was out there when he dropped his with Bone Crusher. All you had to do was just know that it was Bone Crusher and he was going to the club. You knew that this was gonna hit hard. Mystical, you knew that was gonna hit hard. And it was like cans rattling in the trunk. Back in the day, if your license plate wasn't coming off the back of the car because of the vibrations, like you wasn't doing it right. These days you have such bass control where it's a smooth, clean, clear. Back in the day, the frame was shaking. It was just like, and that's how you knew that you had a good sound system. But times have changed now. But to me, I've never gone that far with stereo equipment though. I have had some bass. I had one or two amps in the car, but typically I change my cars for performance. I can't get extra gas mileage on a vehicle, so what I do is I drive fast as fuck. That's right. With low RPMs. I try to go as fast as I can with 2,500 RPMs. So and one of the ways to do that is to increase the torque, increase the horsepower, so that it takes less effort to get it to where it's got to go. But the high octane gas still costs more money, so you're still going to be paying more somewhere. I like sleepers. I like the ones that nobody would expect it to be fast, but it's fast and quiet, so nobody heard it coming and nobody saw it pass by. And the motto for that mentality would be they've got to catch me first. And then being the aggressive driver, statistically, you're more highly probable of getting into a car accident at around 45 to 55 miles an hour due to somebody's error, whether it's your error or the error of somebody around you. But the further you go above 55 miles an hour, the more 100% it is your responsibility because they're not going fast enough to hit you. You would be hitting them. So if you only go as fast as your reaction time can handle it, then at the end of the day, probably 20 miles an hour over the speed limit on average. But nobody's going to be able to catch the car, so you're not going to get hit in the back because you're going too fast to get hit in the back. And in real life, I can verify this in real life. And I never understood this in the video games, and I always ask myself, why did this happen? But this is real world behavior. If you are hauling ass on the street, for some reason, the person in front of you finds it convenient for them to slow down instead of getting out of your way to try to force you to slow down, which makes absolutely no sense. And a lot of the times, those people who don't have the logic or smarts to even own a driver's license, for some reason still have it. They're in the left lane and they don't want to get over to the right. They just want to block you and make you slow down. That forces you to pass them on the right, which makes the situation less safe. Look, it's crazy how, but again, we also have the age old system that if you turn your brights on, they realize they need to get the fuck out of the way and get over. So you was driving down the road with no lights on. Yeah, they're kind of trying to slow down in front of you and block you. Now you got your fog lights on. Then you then caught up to them. Now you got your headlights on, and then they look in the mirror. Now you got your brights on, and it's daylight now. This is the middle of the night. It's daylight now, and they're looking at these bright lights, oh, and they get out of the way. But I always ask myself, bro, I don't care where you are if you're not in the very far right lane. If whatever lane you're in, there is a lane to the right of you, and you looked in your mirror, there was nobody behind you, and the next time you look up, there's a vehicle coming close to, like, they're barreling down on, get the fuck over, bro. Like, I know some people are like, nah, man, fuck that. They can go around me. They can go around me. You don't deserve to drive because the law states that we're supposed to pass on the left. Now, no matter how unsafe the person that is doubling the speed limit is going, if they only pass you on the left, they can zip by everybody and nobody's got to worry about nothing. But when you refuse to move over, you are putting this person that is deliberately doubling the speed limit in a position to have to swerve through traffic. Now you risk them hitting the back of your car, the front of your car, the back of the car in front of you, and then having that car ricochet into your car because you wouldn't get the fuck out of the way. It's just just move. If there isn't a person to pass, you're the only car on the road, ride on the right side. You know what I mean? That way, if somebody does zoom past you, like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. But don't be cruising in the word cruising and left lane shouldn't be in the same sentence. Don't be cruising in the left lane. If you're gonna cruise in a middle lane, as long as there is a left lane, don't cruise in a left lane. But if there's only two lanes, a left lane and a right lane, don't cruise in a left lane. Uh, these special proprietary tools that the automakers are having, this isn't safety features because it's not about safety. It's not about the complexity either. It is about control. Every one of these decisions, the plastic walls, the cab lift repairs, the proprietary screw patents, the battery registration, is a deliberate choice made by automakers to take power away from you and your local mechanics and to funnel that power and your money directly into their dealership service base. They are building a world where you don't truly own your car. You're just licensing. You're just licensing it. Yeah, you're almost leasing it, but you're licensing it. You're getting the legal authority to hold on to it. Which is why I tell you guys to eventually we're just going to be leasing shit. If we're not buying 19 model, 19 something, 1960, 1970, 1980s model, something, we're going to be leasing shit, right? Now, when something breaks in these newer model cars, your only option is to go back to the licensor for an expensive authorized repair. Now, this is going to be the real world foundation of the problem that politicians like Donald Trump are now starting to talk about. The frustration is going to be real, and it's been building for years. So if the physical barriers are a wall, the software barriers are a fortress. And this is going to be where the real fight for the right to repair is being waged and where automakers are winning. Modern cars are no longer just mechanics, they are rolling supercomputers. A new vehicle can have over 100 million lines of code, more than a fighter jet. That code controls everything from your engine's fuel matrix to the responsiveness of your brakes to the brightness of your dashboard. And here's the critical part, you don't own that software. You only have a license to use it. And while companies can't change the terms without legal limits, they operate as if they hold all the cards. This has created a terrifying new frontier of control called part pairing, also known as serialization. Now, it's a strategy perfected by companies like Apple, and now it's come for your car. Here's how it's going to work: a new part, say a headlight assembly or a camera for your driver assistance system, is given a unique serial number. When that part is installed in your car, its serial number must be electronically validated and paired with your car's main computer. This validation is often done through the manufacturer's secure online server. What does this mean in practice? Well, it means you could buy a perfectly good, genuine OEM headlight from another car, install it yourself, and it simply won't work. The car's computer will reject it because its serial number isn't authorized for your specific vehicle. The only way to make it work is to have an authorized technician, usually at the dealership, log into their system, perform the software handshake, and bless the union between the new part and your car. So, while some independent shops can pay for access to these systems, it creates another barrier of competition. Volkswagen Groups, which includes Audi, uses a system called component protection. And if you replace a module, even with a brand new genuine part, it will be in a lockdown state until it's activated online by an authorized party. Uh, Stellantis, the parent of Jeep Company, and Chrysler uses a secure gateway module that blocks most third party diagnostic tools from doing anything more than just reading basic codes. Want to reset the maintenance light or collaborate a new sensor? You need to be authenticated through their system. He said, it sounds like a racket. Shit. It's going to be a monopoly. That's what it's going to be. Because think about this. If so, first and foremost, it's you're not going to be able to customize your car anymore because it's going to have to be dealer authorized modifications. Because if it's unless it's a part that's not an electronic piece, they're not going to authorize it. So aftermarket stereo systems, aftermarket radios, aftermarket electric anything that goes into the car, it has to be authorized by the dealership. If the dealership says no, you bought it, you put it in the car, and you can't use it. It won't work anymore, right? Now, the other thing is though, is that any warranty that you would have on a new model vehicle, if you bought it new or bought it certified pre-owned vehicle, any warranty that you would have on a vehicle comes contractually with the authorized parts only used on the vehicle. Just like with Apple, just like with Samsung, you can only use equipment that is authorized by the manufacturer. Anything that you install on the device that is not authorized by the original manufacturer voids or violates the warranty, and now the car is no longer covered. So you decide to take out the stock radio and put in an aftermarket radio, and they don't approve it, your car is no longer covered under the warranty. You paid all that money for the warranty, but the warranty no longer covers it. So you just threw the money away just to make your car unique, right? So that's one problem. The other problem is let's say that it's a mandatory maintenance, like we just said, headlight, headlights out. Now, if the dealership charges you $250 for the code, headlights $20 at Walmart, AutoZone, something like that. Now you're paying $300 for a fucking headlight for one headlight. And you could get two headlights where it's like $40 for the set, but you still got to pay $250 for the code. So now your base bill is like $300 to replace your headlights, right? Because they're out, right? It's not just change the bulb, it's change the bulb and then reprogram the car. That's that bullshit. He said, still straight piping that new ride. But okay, straight piping the exhaust is different because you're taking off the catalytic converter, you're taking off the muffler, and you're not putting a new one on. But let's say you change the alternator. Everybody has had to replace the alternator on their vehicle at least once out of the life of their vehicle. Either as soon as they got it or after they had it for a number of years. They've had to change their alternator at least once out of the life of their vehicle. And when that alternator replacement occurs, you got to get it approved by the dealership. AC compressor, got to get it approved by the dealership. Power steering pump, got to get it approved by the dealership. This is regular maintenance, right? Throttle body, the accelerator module, got to get it approved by the dealership. So a regular tune-up might fuck around and have 250 base plus parts plus labor just to get the code from the dealership plus parts plus labor. So while it might have would have cost you $150 to fix the car on a regular tune-up, now it might cost you $450 to fix the car to get the code from the dealership to fix the car. And it's for every repair. It's not just like a one-time deal kind of thing because it's certain cars and they're not guaranteeing you that the dealership is going to give you the same car, the same code each time. So it's not like, oh, well, if I get the code one time and I keep going back to the same mechanic, they won't charge me that $300 to uh, 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 reprogram the car. No, 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 no. Every time the car, it's a different serial number for different parts. You got to call the dealership and get another code for a different part. Now, if you're working on the same part multiple times, you might be able to try that same code and see if it works. But each time you got to contact the dealership and verify the code will work. Right? That's an issue. He said, take it to Cuba, then guys will find a way. No, actually, they won't. The reason why the cars in Cuba are not being affected like the cars in America is because the cars in Cuba have cars from 100 years ago. They're regular gas model vehicles that have no electronics on them. And as a result, it is easier to change out the parts on those vehicles because those vehicles, well, it's not easier because you got to ship the parts in from America. So if you take it to Cuba, it's going to be harder to fix the car because I mean the parts are not accessible in Cuba. They're accessible in the junkyards in America that were being set on fire over the last couple of weeks. You know, but a 1950s model from Cuba is just like a 1950s model in America. You can just go to one of those used car, those antique car dealerships. Like a lot of used car dealerships right now are showing a lot of the 50s and 60s models, 70s, 80s model Mustangs, Chargers, and all this other stuff. The sports cars and everything from back in the day, fully restored for $30,000 and $40,000, $25,000, $30,000 for cars that are older than us, right? And that's because they put a lot of money into rebuilding the car, not because the car is actually worth that much money. And the fact is that, and it's going to be cash up front. Some people might have financing options, but if you went to those types of dealerships and buy those types of cars, you spend $40,000 for a 60-year-old car and not have to deal with the problem that you're dealing with the 2027 car that's coming out. So instead of taking it to Cuba, which probably would cost you the same price, you would be going to a used car dealership that is selling cars before the year 2000. And those vehicles will probably run forever, or at least like 40 or 50,000 miles before you'd have to sell it in an auction and get some money to go and buy you a 2000s model when they stop selling the 60s models. He said, is the ownership of a new car going to become unaffordable by a lot of the people? It's already unaffordable. That's the reason why it is highly discouraged to go and buy a brand new vehicle because the average person, you got to think about this. We call them cash cars, $5,000 cash up front. Nowadays, with inflation, a decent running cash car is closer to $10,000 cash up front. Okay. Anything over $5,000 can be financed. In-house financing with the used car dealership. So find your car like $6,000 or $7,000. You give them $5,000. You owe them $2,000. They're going to slap interest on it where you end up paying $4,000 over the course of 2 years. Now you're paying like $250 a month for like 24 months for a used car. That's on the good side of things. Now, let's go to a new car. New cars are ten to $15,000 more than what they were last year, flat rate. So your $25,000 Honda Civics might be $30,000, $35,000. Now, the $25,000 Honda Civics this year used to be $15,000 to $18,000 Honda Civics 3 years ago. Okay, so let's look at that. Now, who's got 25 grand to go and buy a car? Nissan Versa was 15 was $8,000 to $10,000 brand new base model. Now, that same base model might be $15,000 to $18,000 right now for a brand new Nissan Versa manual shift with manual windows, right? Cheapest car you're going to find is probably a Nissan Versa, right? Now, the average person doesn't know how to drive a stick, so they're going to get an automatic, and the automatic's going to cost more. So it's probably going to be, like I said, $15,000 to $18,000. Now, who's got $18,000 to buy a car? Most people don't have the $5,000 to put down on a car. They've got to get a friend to help them out. They got to borrow some money, charge it to a credit card, whatever, whatever. I started the show giving you guys a story about how my homeboy had to borrow money for his car note because he used his car note money to get himself a secure credit card. People don't got money like that. So buying a new car is out of reach for the average person from the bottom 25 percentile. Really and truly, it is out of reach for the average person that is from the bottom 75 percentile, right? So the average, I'm gonna say at best, when you start making 65, $70,000 a year and you're not living at 99% of your income, that's when you can start affording a car. But when you're living 40,000 a year, 50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, and you're living from paycheck to paycheck, you don't got enough money to buy a car, right? So the average, I'm getting to that because he says, who has a 100 grand to buy a new Ford truck? Um, Upper middle class, people that are making over 100,000 a year because they're not going to buy it, they're going to finance it. And with $100,000 vehicle, they're going to put like 25, $30,000 down, and then they're going to finance it for $1,000 a month for 7 months for 7 years. That's what's going to happen with those. So somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, they're going to finance it. And if they already have vehicles, they're going to trade in all of their old vehicles and get some cash off of those, but they're still going to bring 25 or $30,000 worth of cash. And then they're going to get this one vehicle, and they have the one vehicle that now they have to bring to the dealership for everything, which means that they're going to be encouraged by the dealership to buy the premium diamond platinum package warranty that's going to cost them an extra $10,000 on top of the price of the car. So the $100,000 Ford truck is going to then be $110,000 with the top of the line, bumper to bumper, everything is covered warranty, plus tax, which will push that to like 130,000, plus interest when you finance it, which is going to make it like 225. And now you're paying like $1,500 to $2,000 a month for a brand new vehicle. But if you put $30,000 down, it'll bring the price down, and now you're paying like $1,500 a month for a vehicle, almost the same price as paying for a house. So, how many Americans are homeowners? More Americans than what would be car owners, because at least with home ownership, you have down payment assistance, you have closing assistance, you have rebates and other stuff that you can utilize. You've got buyer credits if the house is damaged. You can get it. They can take that off the price of the house and all this other stuff that you can't do with a used car, with a brand new car. With a brand new car, the only promo they have is the overprice they're going to start off with, and then they're going to take off $5,000 or $10,000 to make you feel better about the price of the car, which is bringing it down to what they would have sold it for in the first place. So your $100,000 truck might be priced at 120, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll take 10 off. Then we'll take 5 off for each one of your trade-ins and bring it back to the $100,000 that it fucking was, right?" Charge you $10,000 for the warranty, charge the taxes, charge the interest. You're still paying 235, 250 for the truck, but I saved 25 grand at closing. But you're still paying double for that motherfucker. That's how they get you. Because if you think about this, think about how much you benefit. Because if you go to the dealership and say, "Well, I'm going to buy it cash up front," what deal are they going to cut you? They're not going to save you anything because they're only going to get $3,000 worth of profit off the top. They're not going to save you shit. You would have to tell them, I don't want the floor mats. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want the aftermarket, whatever. Take the fishing net out the back of the trunk. Take the floor mats out the trunk. Take your logo off the back of my car. And if you're going to leave your logo on the back of my car, take some money off the price for advertisement. You got to be hardballing. Like, I'm buying this bitch cash up front. I don't want your dealer plates on there or nothing on the car, and I'll take it. Right. Otherwise, we're gonna have to start talking about some stuff because if you embedded your logo into my vehicle and I'm buying that vehicle, you need to take some money off the price for advertisement because I will be driving around advertising for your company while your company logo, your uh Brandon Chevrolet or Texas Texas Automotive or whatever is printed on the back of my car, right? And then what they usually do, they do extra branding. They give you a free license plate cover, which is the dealership that you bought it from. So that as long as your car is on the road, people are gonna be like, "Oh, that car looks nice. Let me go to that dealership and get one too." That's what they do it for. Nah, that's advertisement. You're gonna have to take that off or take money off the price of the car. You gotta argue that shit. Or I'll take my money somewhere else and buy a car with the dealership next door, but I'm buying cash up front. You know what I mean? He said, new job for the president. Bring down the car prices ASAP. No. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? First and foremost, the reason why the dealerships are fighting for the repairs is because there's more money in fixing the car than selling the original. That's why they're fighting for the repairs. If they made the vehicles not fixable, where you use it till it breaks and then you got to buy another one, nobody would buy a car. They make the parts that need to be fixed more required to be fixed, meaning they break sooner. There's less stress has to go on the parts in order for them to break down. And they call that general maintenance. And now the dealership was supposed to get extra profits off of the same car by fixing it. Then when you trade it in, the dealership fixes it up again and sells it to somebody else, financing the car a second time, making double the money off of the same product and just charging extra money to fix it down the line. The older the car gets, the less the dealership has anything to do with it, but the more they're still willing to fix it and get paid for it. So even if they don't sell you a car, if they're charging you money to fix a car that you have, they will fix a Nissan at a Ford dealership because they're getting paid for the maintenance. But if they do dealer exclusive, Nissan cars are going to be brought to a Nissan dealership. You can't brand Nissan to a Toyota. And big business gets paid off of this. So he's not going to make cars cheaper. It's just not going to happen, right? Because the company logo is on my car back then. The paint started peeling, and it just makes them look bad. It does. So here's the thing: when the logo starts peeling, it makes the car look bad. But if you start peeling the logo off, it starts coming off in pieces. I don't know how to get the logo completely off the car to do it yourself. And usually, when you repaint the car, so you could probably find out from a car painter like a Mako or somebody like that, a body and fender repair shop. How do I get this logo off of my car? They will tell you how to get the logo off of your car, but it comes off of the car, and once it does, because some are embedded in the car where you can just pop it off, and some are actually like a sticker embossed into the paint kind of thing, and you can peel that off with the right materials. But if you use the wrong materials, you damage the paint, and it was a print on the back of the car where the logo used to be, but you get the fucking logo off of the car. So you know now hey, you got your logo on the back of the car. I want the car with no logos on it. So I mean, if well, it's on all my cars. I don't really care. I'll buy the car cash up front, but you're gonna take that off. You know, take that off or take price off the car to keep it on. One of the two. It sounds similar to our healthcare system, never cure disease, just keep people alive. Well, their goal wasn't to keep people alive. Their goal was to keep making money off of people while people feel bad. So what they do is they pharmaceuticals are going to make a lot of money off of every time you don't feel right. Everybody's got ADHD. Everybody's got some kind of antidepressant. Everybody's got some kind of. So instead of just saying what you got to say and getting over the shit, you have to hold yourself to a certain degree and don't talk about anything with anybody, and then go and take you a bunch of antidepressants and sit in the corner and cry. And then when all else fails, you buy more drugs. Now, funny problem with drugs is that every drug has a side effect, and every side effect is a health issue. And when you take multiple drugs with the same side effect, you experience that side effect a lot faster. Now, the problem with that side effect is there's a drug for the side effect. So if you're taking a primary drug or taking three primary drugs that have a common side effect, and then that common side effect has a drug for that, and then that drug has a drug for. So now you're taking 12 drugs where six or seven of those drugs are just treating the side effects to the handful of drugs that you were taking initially. You might find yourself in a situation where you just stop taking drugs and you feel a shit ton better than what you did when you were taking all those drugs, but you have a whole pharmacy full of drugs in your medicine cabinet where you're popping all these pills every day to feel normal. But one of the problems is the body heals itself. So your codependency to external medication for your body to do a lot of the things that it could have done on its own, you will find your health insurance is paying pharmaceutical companies billions of dollars so that you can take medication to do what your natural body could have done. For example, drinking all this coffee with sugar, your body produces its own sugar. Stop drinking all this extra caffeine with sugar. I can drink the caffeine with the sugar. And the lack of sugar, my body will produce its own sugar. Now, I could take B12 instead of drinking coffee and get the energy a different way. But the byproduct of drinking so much sugar with coffee is the crash. It's the drowsiness. It's the sleepiness. And that drowsiness, that sleepiness, that crash requires what? Red Bull energy drinks, monsters, NAS. Now, all these energy drinks are doing what? The same thing the fucking coffee is doing. So you're treating a symptom that is causing another symptom, and then you got to treat the other symptom. But you know what would fix the original symptom of being tired? Take your ass to bed on time, go to sleep, and stop watching all these movies late night and video games and shit like that, and just focus on taking your ass to sleep. That would fix the whole problem. So yeah, pharmaceuticals is going to make a shit ton of money off of people, and manufacturers with vehicles are about to do the same thing. It says the paint all over the car. It had a recall. 2014 Toyota RAV4. Oh yeah, fuck that vehicle. I love Toyotas, but I'm not a big fan of the RAV4 model. Uh, I like the Highlander. I would have gotten the Highlander, um, or the Camry, the Corolla, the Celica. Uh, but I wouldn't do the RAV4. I'm not a big fan of the RAV4, but I don't really give a shit what the paint looks like anyway. So even if the paint was peeling like Freddy Krueger's face, I would have drove that bitch paint peeling off that bitch and everything. As long as the parts aren't falling off of the car, I don't really give. They could recall it for a new paint job, and I'd be like, fuck yeah, free paint job. But if the paint was peeling just for the sake of peeling, I'd be like, fuck that bitch. So like what I would do if you are entitled to one free paint job due to the recall is I would bring the car to the dealership for the paint job right before I sold it to a used car dealership. That's what I would do so that I could get the most money for my vehicle because there's two things that they're going to give you credit for. The condition of the vehicle. So when you trade in a vehicle, all most recent repairs that you've done on a vehicle increases the value of the vehicle. Not body repair, not changing out a fender and shit like that. But when you start talking about um, updates, general maintenance, or something like that, that increases the value of the vehicle. Then the condition of the paint. So if it was freshly painted like 3 weeks ago and I traded a car in now, like new factory paint job, right? That is what I would do it for. That would increase the value of the car. Trade it in, get another one. But It looked like shit. I don't give a fuck if there's a recall on it or not. That recall will stay there as a get out of jail free car for when I do decide to trade that motherfucker in because unless somebody crashed into it and the recall covers the paint job on the crash, I'm not gonna waste my money on that. I'm not gonna waste my time on that because it's free money because it was a recall. It says Toyota finally made a full electric car. What are you talking about, bro? What do you mean finally? Because the Prius has been a fully electric car since what, like 10 years ago, right? Toyota Prius has been a fully electric car for a long period of time. So it really and truly, like what there was Teslas and then there was Prius. And so Toyota was like the second car out there with a fully electric car. It just sucked. You know, it wasn't a sports car or anything like that, but it was a fully electric car, a Prius hybrid. No, they had a Prius. Prius was a fully electric car. They had a Prius hybrid, but Prius was a fully electric car. It was like $50,000 like 10 years ago. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks horribly. But it was the full. But I mean, um, because they had other hybrids on their lot, but the Prius was like the closest thing to a Tesla, but it was just as expensive. It just sucks so bad. It was like what 150 miles to the charge kind of shit. It wasn't really worth it for the amount of money that you were paying for the car to save money on gas. Yeah, it was getting like 55 miles to the charge or whatever the case may be, but I couldn't drive that ugly motherfucker enough to save enough money on gas to make up for the price of the car. Just like the Honda CRV. Steven says 10-year window. The dealership is going to ask Toyota for a good faith repair. Okay. So 9 years and 11 months in, I'm taking it to the dealership and getting it done. And if the car isn't inside of that window, oops, I still let the paint because I don't give a fuck about the paint. If I'm keeping the car, I don't care what the paint looks like. Matter of fact, if the paint peeling off that bitch, if all the paint come off of the car and it looked like a steel body Cybertruck, it just means that if a bitch is gonna get in this car, she don't care about luxury looks. She care about the fact that she like who I am because this motherfucker look like shit. Rust, bondo, and stainless steel all over the place. It's a Cybertruck with a Tesla logo on it. um, the software war is being fought most fiercely in the agricultural world, and it serves as a chilling preview of what's coming for our cars. Because for years, farmers have been battling with John Deere over the right to fix their own tractors. So if a sensor fails in the middle of a harvest, the farmer can't just replace it. The tractor is often bricked until a John Deere technician can drive out there, plug in a proprietary laptop, and authorize the repair. So the situation got so bad that farmers started hacking their own tractors with pirated software. And I know y'all noticed that they had farmers out there protesting in the streets. This is one of the reasons why you seen that the tractor convoys ride through the streets, flooding roads, pissing people off. Now you see why. Um, After years of public pressure and lawsuits, John Deere signed an agreement with American Farm Bureau Federation to make diagnostic tools more available and also settled a class action antitrust lawsuit for around $70 million without admitting wrongdoing. Now, it took a massive multi year fight to force them to concede even that much ground. Now, this exact model is being delayed and deployed in the new cars, often under the guise of features on demand or the subscription economy. Automakers have realized that they can make more money over the life of the car by renting you its features than by selling them to you once. So satellite radio, everybody got hooked on satellite radio. Then they started selling it to you. Now you got to pay for the monthly membership for the satellite radio, or you wouldn't have a radio. It would just give you fucking commercials. They have the OnStar navigation system, the OnStar in-car emergency response system. That very valuable feature in case of a crash and you can't reach your phone. You can push a button on your dash, or it automatically dials when it recognizes a crash, and you can get help to your location. Yeah, but OnStar now is a feature that you have to pay for. Autopilot on some of the Teslas might be a paid feature. Some of them is going to come free, but you might have to pay the feature on some of that shit. So uh certain services that would be regular use services on certain vehicles, you have to pay a membership to use those services. Navigation systems on vehicles from 2005, 2010, 2015, those navigation systems used to have a subscription to use the nav system. And if you didn't have a subscription, you just had a dashboard screen that didn't do anything because you didn't pay for the subscription for navigation, right? So instead of them just selling you the vehicle with all of these cool features on it, they sell you the car and then they sell you the features as an upgrade. Just like with Tesla with the Cybertruck, he was offering the bulletproof windows and the solar panels and all of this other stuff as a first, like the first demo. It was supposed to be all inclusive in the price of 79.95, 79,995, right? Then they come out with a base model that doesn't have any of that stuff on for $100,000, and if you pay $25,000, they'll ship it to you right now. So they brought it up to $125,000, and then you have to pay the increase to get the bullet resistant windows. They don't have the solar panel thing out there. They don't have the fog lights on the roof of a lot of the Cybertruck vehicles. That's an extra cost because they realized that instead of them baking it into the price, if they add it as an accessory feature, they can charge more for the extra stuff that people would prefer to have on their vehicle. So, heating elements, the wiring button, all there. You pay for the hardware, it's yours. But if you actually want to turn it on, you have to pay the monthly subscription fee. BMW famously tried this and had to back down after a massive public outcry, but the idea is far from dead. And this is a typical scenario. It's not hypothetical. This is a typical scenario. Tesla offers full self-service driving, right? Which used to be a one-time purchase as a monthly subscription. I'm telling y'all, while the new Teslas typically come with standard autopilot, the more advanced features and standard autopilot is going to be like park assist, lane stabilization, shit like that. It's not necessarily going to be like it might even have the auto braking scenario to prevent the car from getting into a crash. But the full on car drives itself, you can get in the back seat, take a nap, and not have to worry about what's going on with the car situation. That is an advanced feature. And they're locked behind a paywall. General Motors charges for its Super Cruise hands free driving system. Though often included in a trial period where you get to use it for a little bit, you fall in love with it, then they lock it up. Now that you've gotten used to it, then they lock it up and make you pay a fee for it, right? Volkswagen and Audi have offered functions on demand, which can unlock features like more horsepower through a one time payment. So they have a governor, they have two governors on your car. One governor preventing it from reaching a certain top speed, and another governor preventing it from having a certain quantity of performance unless you're willing to pay extra money for that extra performance. Toyota offers services like real time traffic data through a subscription plan after an initial complimentary period, which is so they allow you to use this feature for a little period of time. Sometimes it's like 30 to 90 days. And then after you've gotten used to it, you factored it into your daily life. Then it locks itself up and tells you, pay the membership. 19.95, 24.95, 9.95. A lot of the times they can bait you in if it's $10 a month. But when you think about the uh overall killer, if each membership subscription that you pay for is $10 a month, you got like 20 of them. Now you're spending an extra $400 for your car, right? Every month, so that you can have the benefits of all of these extra amenities. Even if you use them all the time, the money you're throwing away to rent service on your car from your car to use your car the way you bought it to, it's a waste of money. And then the worst part about that is that even after your car is paid off, you would still have to pay for these services. So you would still be renting your car from the dealership after you paid off the mortgage, after you paid off the loan on the car. Crazy. Might as well just lease that bitch. Now, this is the ultimate expression of the new model of car ownership. You buy the hardware, but you rent the functionality. And if you stop paying, the features that you thought that you owned are remotely switched off. And this has devastating consequences for the used car market because in the past, a fully loaded car was worth more than a base model car. Now, those features don't necessarily transfer to the next owner. That package that you paid thousands of dollars for might become worthless when you sell the car because the new owner will have to start paying the monthly subscription from scratch. It destroys the resale value and further tethers the car's compatibility to the original manufacturer, not the owner, meaning that you're probably going to get more value if you sell the car back to the dealership that you bought it from than it would be for you to sell it to a used car dealership for another vehicle. The only monthly subscription you should hold is a membership to the This and That podcast. Not gonna lie, that's probably the best membership that you should ever get because as long as this podcast runs live every night of the week, you're going to get more at what, like $3 a month for the base membership. You get more information from this podcast about how to avoid financial pitfalls and make different financial decisions to improve the way that you operate in your life, and then how to put your money in places where your money is making more money for you, making it worth your time to put extra money into this podcast as opposed to all of the other places that you put your money where you just put it there and the money is gone and you don't even benefit from it. More people benefit from this podcast going live than their gym membership. And you pay $25 a month for your gym membership. When's the last time you went to the gym? The $25 a month that you paid for gym membership, you could have bought gym equipment off of Temu and exercised at the house, owned the equipment, one-time purchase, and then when you got tired of using the equipment, it would just be paperweights at the house. But it would have been cheaper than the gym membership because $25 a month for 10 months, that's $250. Most of the equipment that you use for pull-ups, push-ups, crunches, you could just buy you some free weights for $250 at Temu. You could buy it probably $150, get it shipped to your house, and do the exercises that save $100. Do the exercises at your house, and 2 years in, instead of paying $500 for a gym membership, you would only pay $150, and you can work out at your house, which is going to be extra cheap because now you're not spending the gas and the time it takes to drive to the gym and then the gas and the time to drive back. Just saying. So there's another financial tidbit for you. But yes, this podcast provides you way more detailed information than any financial advisor can ever give you, than any um make you rich guru can ever give you. And it's probably one of the most fantastic memberships that I believe that I created. Because it's like a all encompass, like fix your life so that it doesn't suck anymore kind of membership. And I give you a lot of details in the live, but I give you even more reinforced details in the membership, which I didn't put anything in there because when I seen that I had 3 extra days off this week, I said, fuck it, I'm gonna spend one day just sleeping, and then the rest of the week I'm gonna grind it out. But after I did the calculations, I had determined that there's probably only 20 days worth of content that has to go into the membership out of the last 4 months because we had walkthroughs at least 4 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week, every week. Um, and that's going to be a total of like 20 or 25 days out of the last 3 or 4 months. And at 2 releases a day, it's technically like a week to 2 weeks worth of releases, and that's it. We're caught up. So whether I do a one release a day every day for the next 30 days, or if I were to do 2 releases a day every day for the next 2 weeks, either way, we will be caught up by the middle of July with all of the walkthroughs that I've covered since January. And you would have all of the information where you could scroll all the way back to the beginning of this podcast and get links to anything that I've put out because it stays archived on the platform. I haven't taken the time in to create an individual website, but I think I will do some kind of squeeze page website once I start creating ebooks for the kind of stuff that we talk about. Because I know a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you should write a book about that. Write a book about your life, write a book about this, write a book about that." And if I really start putting together books, I think it would make a lot of sense to create some books. Maybe get up a different kind of Amazon website scenario and then create a scenario where I could put those ebooks up on Amazon and then put the links to it into the membership so that people can go to the Amazon thing and grab all of the ebooks that I create. But once we get that done, and the only reason why I mentioned that one is because Amazon has free or at no additional cost to the online store that you create there, publishing. So I could self-publish through Amazon all of my ebooks on Amazon, or create some paper copies through a publisher or something like that. But once I get to that part, I'll let you guys know because I know that all the ins and outs of a living trust has to get copy down all of the information about uh, uh, you know strategies to budget and save and invest and how like basically build a legacy like a sequel or a series of books that kind of builds up so that you guys can know from chapter 1 to chapter 100, from volume 1 to volume 1000, and you're like, damn, by the time I get to the end of everything that he's got going on, that I know everything I need to know to pull myself out of this rut and then develop better habits and better decisions so that I can put myself in a position where I can see myself being more, because before you buy back your time, you buy back your stress. That's the first thing you get back with me is that you're less stressed out, you're less pissed off, you're less frustrated, you're less overly emotionally stimulated about life, which actually makes it a lot better for you to make informed decisions. What would you like, Stephen? He said, "Could I make a membership request?" You can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things. What do you want to see that probably is there, but probably hasn't been utilized as much as possible? What do you want to see in the membership? Because we're halfway through the show. I still got like 40 pages left to talk to you about. Which means we're probably going to be here for another 40 minutes. Steven's showing you right now the benefits of the membership because as soon as he comes to, he asks me for something and within a few days he gets it. So because the last time he asked me about information about his scholarships and I was like, let me give you a couple dozen templates to help you get your stuff together. I think he only waited like 24 to 48 hours and it was up there. All he needed to do. He said, could you put, oh, look, so that's the reason why I haven't done anything with the membership because I was thinking exactly that. Because when I put up the portfolio, how to do it, I don't believe that I put the instructions on how to invest it and how to rebalance it in there for the buy and hold thing when I gave it up there, and I didn't like the way it's up there, and there's a lot of background information up there. But for the new beginners who don't exactly know what's going on, I don't think that they understand uh, where to put the money and how to put the money. And typically, that would be a conversation that I would have for the private membership. But since we don't have a bunch of private members, I'm like, yeah, I'll just throw in a guide for that, and I haven't done it yet, and that's what I wanted to work on and put into the membership. So you and I are on the same page. You want put in a stock investment strategy to detail the best way to invest $100 a week. Okay, so the format that I gave you right now is for a portfolio that I do believe I think it's like $10,000 a portfolio. Now, what I would do is I'm gonna do a investment strategy that's gonna start with $1,000 investment using the stocks that I gave you in the membership. And then I'm going to organize it for a $100 a week installment, which is equivalent to $400 a month, and then show you how it should be rebalanced into the higher interest stocks and then rebalanced from the stocks into the other stocks so that your portfolio can end up being balanced. And yes, I'm going to do it for buy and hold stocks only because I've already spent 12 months talking about the dividend rotation strategy, and I showed you guys that the dividend rotation strategy does work. Now I'm spending the next year to 2 years talking to you guys about the buy and hold strategy. And the reason why I'm doing the buy and hold strategy now is because the tax changes that Donald Trump made benefits buy and holds. The dividend rotation strategy does not benefit the tax changes that happen because buy and hold money is moving money, and moving money is taxable income at the regular tax rate. Buy and hold money is still money, and still money has a deferred or um, preferred tax rate, which is the companies that pay taxes on behalf of the shareholders, like pre-tax money, and then they give it to the shareholders. Those profits are going to be untaxed if the money has set still for 121 days, or um, what they say is 60 days before the ex dividend date, 60 days after the ex dividend date, it qualifies. If it's 60 days before the ex dividend date where you just bought it, or if it's 60 days after the 60, well, no, 60 days after the ex dividend date because you just bought it, or 60 days before the next dividend date because you haven't sold it since the last ex dividend date, that area, those types of stocks should qualify to some degree for a different tax rate where you can end up anywhere between 0 and 20% taxation instead of normal standardized taxation for buy and holds. So I want to show you guys how the buy and holds are a little bit better than the dividend rotation, because while dividend rotation is a fantastic way to expedite capital growth in your portfolio, the problem is that you still got to pay the taxation on it. Now, while the profit margin you get is going to be significantly higher even after you've paid taxes, if you're trying to have a more tax friendly strategy, a less stressful automated strategy, because trading every week, you've got to pay attention to the stock market on a regular basis, right? But putting it there, leaving it there, forgetting about it, you don't have to deal with when the market crashes. You don't have to deal with, you know, debating should I sell it now so that I can buy the other one, take the loss and get the gain and net the difference, or just leave everything the way it is and just keep adding to it and then just continue to benefit from the dividends. So I'm going to be doing just buy and holds. And yes, I'm going to be doing exactly that. So as he asks for it is as he will receive. And I will create that strategy. And I got one thing to do after the show, but I have nothing to do for the next 2 days. So I will make that the thing that I do before I do anything else. Uh, give you the strategy for the. I'm gonna do it for both of the high octane cash generating portfolio formats that I gave you guys. And well, technically I could just do one because they're both the same. The only difference is that one is doesn't have tech in it. and the other one does have tech in it. That does give you a little bit more growth for tech as opposed to just cash growth for non-tech. So I'm going to use the one that's including the tech. I do believe that one's like 17 or 19 stocks in there, and I'm going to give you guys a walkthrough on how to invest in the higher dividend real estate investment trust and then rebalance into the other portfolios down the line. Now, if you're doing a trickle down effect, you would put the largest majority of your money into the highest dividend values so that they can give you the most return. And then you take the returns from those and reinvest it into the other one. And then, regardless of how the market works, for the other like lower value real estate investment trusts and BDCs, and then regardless of how the market works, you take the money from those and put it into your non-real estate investment trusts and BDCs. Now, option B, so that means I'm still gonna do two. I'm just gonna do two different ones for the same one. Is that you can that three options now when you think about it, because option B is that you divide your money up between your REITs and then take all of the money that you get from all of your portfolios together and then divide them up between all the ones that you didn't invest into. So if you were doing like a once a month, $400 a month, and you put the $400 onto the REITs, and then you take the money coming from the REITs and then you put it on everything else, you can do that. Or option, which is why I said it's got to be three options. You're putting up $100 a month across 17 different shares. You would divide them evenly amongst all of them and then just invest evenly on all of them. Whichever decision that you do determines the results of your portfolio. If you put more principal on your REITs and then rebalance into anything else, you're going to get more cash generated from your REITs because you're going to have like 50, 60% of your portfolio REITs, and you're going to rebalance it till it looks like it's supposed to look with the 13% here, 7% here, 10% there. If you keep the entire thing balanced, then you're guaranteed to get 15% return. But if you wanted to put more on your REITs, you might be getting more like 17 or 18% return as you rebalance into other things. Um, in situations where you don't have the money to put it back into to put money into your trust, you're still rebalancing away from your REITs, regardless of what's going on, and that would uh, keep your portfolio balanced, but it'll also keep your portfolio generating a large quantity of cash. So I will be doing that for you. That was a good request. He said, I'm done with the smart portfolio. I'm just going to auto 100 a week into the personal portfolio for stash and pick from there. Oh yeah, fuck the smart portfolios. I created one for you to hand pick the ones that will benefit us the most. The lowest costing per share, highest dividend producing, that will go up after the chaos is over, after the war is done, after Trump stops being indecisive, after Trump stops shaking things up. Because whether you agree or disagree with what this man is doing, his decisions completely shakes up the stock market and keeps the stock market so volatile that wealthy people have pulled a lot of their money out of it. That means that the financially challenged people, the people that make less than $100,000 a year, can buy into it. When Donald Trump is no longer making decisions that shakes up the stock market, the next president might not do anything that impacts the stock market. And when that happens, the stock market's going to go back up. And when it does, the more stocks you have, when it goes back up, the more value each share is going to be, but you're still going to get the same amount of dividends. So you want to lock it in while it's cheaper. And if you're handpicking all of these shares and investing into the ones that I told you, or you can invest into ones that you're better interested in. But when you're investing in dividend paying stocks over growth stocks, you are going to be able to use the money from your portfolio to pay back into your portfolio when you don't have the money to pay into your portfolio. But because yeah, it's gonna. He says, I keep getting excited and putting more into it, but I do have to stop doing that and keep it just to $100 a week for a while. Well, so that's one of the things that I tell you guys to do. You can do a set once a month because the stocks are only going to pay you once a month. So you can do a set $400 a month. You can do a set uh $500 a month. You can be in a situation where you got a bonus, you got extra money from somewhere, and you put all of that money on your portfolio that one time, and then you can have certain months where you got more bills to pay than you've got money coming in, and you don't put anything on the portfolio. And that's why I tell you the dividend paying portfolio is a good one because instead of selling the shares to offset, you just don't invest in it that month and take the dividends from the portfolio and put it back into the portfolio so that the portfolio can grow itself while you're taking care of other things. Um, that's another reason why I talked to you guys at the top of the show. I was like, hey, if you're floating, because if you have a situation where you have more things to pay for than you got money coming in, and you put onto your credit cards what you would have spent cash on, you can delay that payment until the next paycheck, and then you can take the cash and do what you need to do, and then take your next paycheck and pay down the credit card. And then when the billing cycle rolls over, then you just put the money back on the credit card, and you can float your bills in that scenario where you no longer have the financial stress of 12 or 13 different things due on the first, and now have to stretch things out where you don't really have to pay it until the 31st. And that gives you two paychecks to cover the same quantity of stuff instead of uh, everything is due on one paycheck and you don't have enough because all the stuff you got to pay for takes more than one paycheck to pay for it. Also, like I told you guys, it's easier to do with a credit card than it is to do with a bank account. To call your credit company and move half of your credit cards to the third or fourth week of the month and have half of your credit cards due on the second week of the month. And why do I say do that? Because if you have one credit card company due on between the 20th and the 25th and another credit card due between the 10th and the 15th, your rent is always due on the first. That means that you've got your rent paid. The next week you got your credit cards paid. The next week you have another credit card paid, and then the next week you're getting money for the rent for the following month. So if you get paid bi-weekly, you should be able to put everything on your credit card and then take the cash and pay your rent. And then when your next paycheck comes, pay off your credit card. And then when your next paycheck comes, pay the rent for next month. Then when your first paycheck for the rent comes, you pay off your credit card before the billing cycle rolls over. And you always have one of the two credit cards in between each paycheck that you can put your gas in your car so that you don't got to worry about, well, what am I going to do about gas? Because all my money is on my credit card. Charge it to the card. This model only works for people who maintain a stable job. But yes, I know that you get excited when you see the dividends coming back and you start putting more money towards it. And you might feel like I'm putting too much, I'm putting too much, I'm putting too much. No, you're not. As long as your base bills are able to be paid, you're able to take care of your utilities, the gas in the car to get you to and from work. You're able to buy food as long as your base bills get paid. Anything above that would have otherwise been spent on bullshit, entertainment, impulse purchases, online, whatever, subscriptions and memberships that you don't need, stuff that you're not benefiting from, stuff that you just pay for just in case but never use. You can turn all that shit off and then put that stuff into the brokerage account. If you would have been um, if you're focusing on your grind and you would have otherwise been going out on dates, you know, like fuck them dates, let me put that money in the brokerage account. You're about to go into your fall term. You're going to get a student refund instead of you going out to the frat parties and everything like that, hanging out with the college kids. You could take the extra money that you get from your school and put it directly into your brokerage account. You could take out the student loans, like I told you, put those directly into your brokerage account, and then you'll see the growth happening faster. You'll get more dividends from the portfolio, but then you'll be able to now start seeing like 50 to 100, 200, $300 a month coming from the brokerage account where you can start taking that $200, $300 a month and paying some bills with it, or reinvesting it into the portfolio and putting less money into the brokerage account. So if you made a goal for yourself to say, I want to invest $400 a month, when the brokerage account starts producing $100 a month, you might only put 300 now because you need that extra 100. So instead of it paying you and you paying it back, you put up 300 and reinvest the other 100, and that's the $400 that you guaranteed was going to keep being added to the principal. And as it increases, It'll start producing $400 a month. You'll just keep putting the $400 a month back in it, and the 400 you used to put in there, you'll start putting towards balancing out your budget and fixing everything. But you'll find yourself in a position where you got $1,000 extra somewhere, brokerage account. Unless you decide to plan for a vacation or something, brokerage account, and just keep putting it up there, right? And by the time you get out of college, you're going to reach a point where uh, they're going to say, hey, it's time for you to start paying your student loans. Sure. Brokerage account, pay the student loans. And you'll be good to go because it'll be producing money and you can just deposit it into your account. It'll be in your account within 3 days. But yeah, I'm gonna be getting that. I'm gonna be getting that done. That way you have a balancing plan. And this is one of the reasons why the membership is so good. So for $3 a month, he just asked for some information that financial advisors charge $350 an hour to give. And Wall Street is charging 3% or more per trade to do. And I'm like, don't worry, I got you, bro. But by this time tomorrow, it'll be there. Now, back to the main topic because we still got half the show to cover. Um, the cars are no longer a product that you guys own. You guys got to realize that with the way the automakers are doing what it's doing, it's a service platform, and the company is going to hold all the keys. They're going to control what it can do and who can fix it, and what parts is going to be accepted. So customizing your car is not always going to be a thing anymore. So when they lock down the software, they lock down your wallet. They can turn a $200 independent repair into a $2,000 dealership visit. They can turn a feature that you already paid for into a reoccurring monthly bill. And this isn't just about fixing your car. It's about the very definition of ownership in the 21st century. So why are they doing this? When you ask automakers, they're going to give you two words: safety and security. They're going to tell you that opening up a car's computer system could allow hackers to take control of your vehicle. They'll warn that an independent mechanic might use a cheap part that could fail, right? On the surface, these arguments sound reasonable. But when you follow the money, a very different picture emerges. This isn't just a fight about safety, it is a fight over a massive prize. The global automotive repair and service market is colossal, with some analysis projecting its value at over $744 billion in 2025 and on track to exceed $1 trillion by 2034, which is about 8 years from now, right? So for decades, that money was split between franchised dealerships and the hundreds of thousands of independent repair shops across America. Historically, the split has favored the independents. Some studies have shown independent shops capturing the majority of the do it for me repair market. Drivers often prefer independent shops because they're more convenient and, crucially, often cheaper. Various reports suggest that dealerships can charge significantly more for the same repairs. For automakers, this has always been a source of frustration. Their primary business is selling a new car, a competitive, relatively low margin business, right? The real consistent profit is in the aftermarket, the parts, and the service after the car leaves the showroom. So for a long time, they were losing out on the majority of post warranty repairs to the independent sector. But software defined vehicles have given them a once in a generation opportunity to change that. By embedding software locks and controlling diagnostic data, they can systematically dismantle the independent repair industry. They can make it incredibly difficult for anyone but their own high priced dealers to perform a growing number of repairs. Every time they design a part that needs a software handshake, they are redirecting revenue away from small businesses and into their own corporate pockets. That battery registration fee, That money that you used to go to the local shop and pay for that to get done, now going to the dealership. That camera collaboration that could only be done with a factory tool, that's another customer forced out of the independent market. This is the entire strategy. It's about capturing a large percentage of the massive repair market, one software lock at a time. And there's evidence that it works because while independents still hold strong positions, some analysis have noted periods where dealership service revenue has grown faster than that of independent shops. The subscription model is going to be the next phase because industrial analysts project that automakers could generate over $20 billion annually from in car subscriptions in the upcoming years. This is a business model that simply doesn't exist for them a decade ago. It's a brand new money captured by turning physical products that you own into digital services that you rent. This is why they're fighting so hard against right to repair laws. It's not about protecting you from some hypothetical hacker. It is about protecting their access to multi-billion-dollar revenue streams. They are creating a monopoly, not of car sales, but of car repair by locking down the technology they lock in the customer. The claim that this is for your safety is a convenient price that is being sold to the customer as a piece of public relations. I mean, the scale of the money involved tells the real story. Whenever the right to repair movement gains traction, automakers deploy their primary defense. Letting anyone access a car's vital system would be a catastrophic failure for public safety and cybersecurity. So, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, has even weighed in at times, lending support to this position because in 2023, a letter regarding a Massachusetts data access law, NHTSA warned that an open access telematic platform could create security risks by allowing for manipulation of safety critical functions. This argument is designed to shut down the conversation. It frames the issue as choice, better between your freedom to repair and your family's safety. So you had to choose between uh, uh, getting your car fixed yourself and not being safe, or your family's safety and not repairing it yourself. But this is a false choice. First, let's address the cybersecurity threat. The idea that right to repair laws would suddenly create a wave of car hacking is misleading. Modern vehicles are already connected to the internet and design choice made by automakers for subscriptions and data collection. That connectivity is the real source of risk. The main federal bill being considered, the Repair Act, doesn't propose to create an unsecured free for all. It simply aims to create a standardized and secure way for owners to and the authorizing shops to access the same data that automakers already have. Many cybersecurity experts argue that the best way to secure a system is to expose it to independent researchers who can find and report vulnerabilities, the opposite of the security through obscurity model automakers are defending. He says, my guy says, I got hacked and my entire paycheck was removed from my account. Now I can't pay my rent and I'm going to have to suffer. You got an iPhone. I'll let you marinate on that for a moment, my guy. You got an iPhone. Because you got to understand, first and foremost, um, even though the banks are supposed to protect your money up to $250,000, they don't protect your money. But If you report that unauthorized withdrawals occurs on your account, they put the money back. They might not put the money back in time for you to pay your rent, but they do put the money back if you can prove to them that you didn't authorize the transaction. However, what the younger generation is doing, and I disagree with this, but I do agree with the convenience. You've got your Apple Pay, you've got your Apple Wallet, your Google Wallet, your Samsung Pay, your Samsung Wallet. You've got all of these digital wallets. In the digital wallet, you have all of your credit card information, all of your debit card information. You have your auto pay or ACH, your bank account, all the information to get robbed programmed into your cell phone. It makes it easier for you to make purchases. You might feel like your phone is so secure because it requires a biometric print to authorize a transaction. Unfortunately, the problem is that all of your financial information is on your phone. NFC authorization that is usually turned on a regular basis so that you have the ability to touch the register with your cell phone and make purchases off of whatever card is available is a convenient feature that people forget to turn off. As long as that is turned on, as long as Apple Pay and other digital wallets on your cell phone are turned on and operating in the background, a random person can pass by you and scan your phone, copy all your financial information, and then take the time later today and wipe you out. By the time you check your bank account, because people don't check their bank accounts, they only check their bank accounts when they're going to spend money. So if you got paid today, or if you got paid yesterday and it's supposed to clear the bank today, and you walk past somebody on Saturday and they scanned your cell phone and they started taking everything off of your bank account on Sunday or Monday morning, by the time you look at your wallet on Tuesday, your money's gone. Now you're like, what the fuck? I was supposed to get paid. Then you look in the transaction history and you're looking at withdrawals. Some banks don't dispute withdrawals, but you have to prove that you didn't authorize that withdrawal. They have to find out what ATM machine withdrew the money. You have to go to that. You have to go to that ATM machine or have them go to that ATM machine and pull the video footage and see who withdrew the money. Prove that it wasn't you before they give you the money back. During that time, you won't have your money. But typically, iPhone customers suffer with this more than Android customers suffer with this, more than Samsung companies suffer with this, not because Samsung is better designed. It's because most people are lazy. And it is easier to pre program your iPhone than it is to pre program your Android. And not a lot of people are going to waste their time pre-programming their Android. So they don't have the, they have a limited number of credit cards that they were making online purchases for, and the cell phone asked save to your Samsung Pass or save to your Google Wallet or save to this, and you click yes in the moment, and that's up there. But oh, with your iPhone, with iTunes and all of this other stuff, you were putting all these credit cards and everything in the system when you first got your first MacBook Pro in college. And you just keep it in there and you update the credit cards whenever one of them expires. So all of your financial information is on your cell phone. So you don't even need a wallet anymore. You can leave your house with your driver's license and your cell phone. People don't have to steal your purse. They can just see you taking a selfie and run off with your cell phone. They got all your money. This is where cybersecurity protection is used as an excuse to protect people. But see, if you were going to protect yourself, you would go through the trouble of reaching into your pocket, pulling out a piece of plastic, and swiping the card. You would reach into your pocket, pull out the cash, and hand them the money so that they can't steal your money offline because you're not using your money online. I have bank accounts that don't have debit cards to them. So in order for me to get the money out of that account, I have to go directly to the bank and make a transaction. I don't have online banking on those accounts. And if I do, there's nothing that's done on them because those accounts aren't attached to shit. I can look at it and see the balance, but that's it. If I want money out of it, I have to go to a branch that services that bank and talk to a teller in person and get the money that I want off of that account. That's the only way that you keep your money secure. When you have the ability to link your bank account to your cell phone, to your computer, to your gaming system, because a lot of folks got a PlayStation or an Xbox and they link their financial information to PlayStation Online or Xbox Online. You think you got hacked when you were in Walmart with your cell phone. You got hacked when you was playing GTA 6. You got hacked when you were playing GTA 5 online with the mods. You got hacked when you was playing the Need for Speed online. You got hacked when you were playing the WWE 2026 online. When you were streaming online through your gaming console, which is less secure than your cell phone because you're direct connect to somebody else and nobody knows how that software works, but somebody who's connected to you could potentially hack the system because there's nothing there that stops you from being hacked. Your financial information is on your gaming console. Your ass can get robbed. I don't have a sympathetic response for the fact that you got. But one thing I can tell you is that now you've learned something. You should be able to put a preloaded credit card or debit card onto your PlayStation or Xbox with a limited quantity of money on there. Don't link it to anything else. Whenever you want to make your subscription, you want to preload the money so that it's there, so that when the time for the subscription to come, it'll come and get it. But there's nothing else on that card. If you're paying $50 a month for your PlayStation Live or $30 a month for your Xbox Live, you put $60 up there, let them come and get it, and then whenever you see that the account is low, you put more money up there, and that does two things because you can't keep charging stuff to that account because you only put enough money up there to pay for the membership. And then if somebody else hacks you, they can only get what was up there, which means you'll find out that you got hacked because your membership didn't get paid for. But they only got 30 bucks. Same thing with your bank accounts. Don't link your bank account to your cell phone. Link a prepaid a secure card to your bank account, to your cell phone. If you're going to link something with like $250 on it. You don't link your whole paycheck to, I already told you guys, you should have one account for direct deposit from whatever financial institution you get your money from. You should have a second account for direct deposit for the government. Why do I say that? Because while they might have access to all of your shit, you signed a contract that told them that they can put in and take money out of this account at their discretion. So that account is subject to if you owe the IRS money. So you want them to have that account. That's one account. Then you want to have the one from your primary job and any other secondary job that's depositing money. That's incoming account. Then you want to have a separate account for outgoing money. You want to have a fourth account for auto pay. And then you want to have secured preloaded credit cards and debit cards for online subscriptions. This protects your money in layers because if in the event that you ever get hacked and they run off with one of the cards that's outgoing money, while you're working on that, your paycheck is secure because that's not the account they got access to. They got access to the account that was on your cell phone. They got access to the account that was on your gaming console. They got access to the account that was on your computer, but not your bank account because your bank account is a different account, not the one that's getting your paycheck every day. This is a good learning experience. Do not use your incoming money account as an outgoing source for any reason. Because when you're disputing a transaction, your incoming money is frozen now. Now you're fucked until they finish the dispute. But if you had a separate account for incoming money and a separate account for outgoing money, any disputes for unauthorized outgoing transactions has nothing to do with your incoming money. So now you can redirect your money to yet another account to do other outgoing transactions. Remember, I told you to have two accounts in every state, one credit union and one bank account. There's 50 states in the country at least, plus territories and everything of that effect. You should have at least 100 accounts in the United States. If you don't have 100 accounts in the United States, you should at least have 10. Why 10? You got ones for credit card payments. You've got one for personal utility payments. You got one for gas card. You've got one for automatic bill pay. You've got one for frivolous purchases. You might have one exclusive for travel. You've got one for incoming money from your primary job, one for the government incoming money. Then you've got another one for your business. You got one joint account for your spouse. I could keep going, but that's 10. That's 10 right there. So even if you didn't have a business, you still got 9 accounts. I can still think of another one because if you got another account that you have money in when you're dealing with family, where when you talk to them, this is the only account that you have, that splits your money up 10 ways. Nobody knows everything they got. If they see you at an ATM machine checking your balance, they're always looking over your shoulder to see how much is in there. If that account only has the $75 you said that you was gonna bring to them, they know you ain't got shit, or at least they think it. But if that account says $10,000 and you're trying to pull out 75, they're gonna call and say, "Hey, let me get some money from you, bro," just because they know that you've got money, not because they need it, because they know that you have it, and your relationship with them, loyalty binds you to give them some of what you work for because they asked for it, not because they really need it, not because they really deserve it. Just like I talked to you guys at the top of the show about my buddy asking me for money because he knew I had some money coming in. We've been around each other for years, so he knows when money's coming in because usually when stuff happens, we used to have these conversations before I started doing this podcast. And knowing that money was coming in, he called me when money was coming in and said, "Hey, let me borrow some money." He hasn't talked to me since I tried to fix his phone and I paid his phone bill, but he called me, "Let me get some money." Not last week or the week before that, how's life been going? Not, you know, 2 months ago, how you getting settled in or anything to that effect. You know, this week, let me get some money. Oh, by the way, how's life going for you? Right? That's how family is, right? A lot of times you got family that won't talk to you until you got something worth taking from you. Then they'll call you and see how life is going so they can see how much shit you got so that they can try to take from you the shit that you got or borrow it from you so long that it becomes theirs. Right. So I appreciate you, Deg. I appreciate you putting that information out there for us. Now, the second thing that we got to deal with, there's an argument about physical safety that an independent shop might perform a repair incorrectly. I mean, we get that, but I mean, dealerships perform repairs incorrectly. But this is an insult to thousands of certified professional technicians who work outside the dealership network. Just like Donald Trump said that there are people who could build something from the ground up with no problem. You got people who went to college and got trades for this, mechanic trades. Independent mechanics have been safely repairing cars for 100 years thus far, and their reputation depends on it. The idea that a dealership technician is inherently more competent is not supported by facts. Many experienced technicians leave dealerships to open their own shops. And a lot of the people that start working at a dealership are inexperienced. So if safety were the true concern, automakers would be focused on providing clear repair information to everyone, not restricting it, right? They would be trying to give people more knowledge to make sure that everybody's safe, potentially invest in more training schools and have the manufacturers, they pass laws to have the manufacturers have a continuous education where they would have to continue to take certain classes, so many number of classes every year to know all of the new technology that's coming out for the cars. The same way teachers and lawyers and doctors have to continue to go to college so that they can continue to stay on top of the new information that's coming out in their field. The same way, who else was it? You have police officers continue to go back to training to keep their skills up. The same way military personnel have to keep going through training to keep their skills up. If manufacturers was really talking about safety, they would just make it mandatory for independent mechanics to continue to be updated on the new stuff that's coming out. Charge them for that. That way they know what they're doing. But withholding the information, automakers are arguably making repairs less safe because instead of everybody knowing how to make this car work, only a select few have insider information. So the initial cybersecurity concerns raised by NHTSA in Massachusetts were also addressed because after its initial letter, NHTSA later worked with the state and acknowledged that an agreement had been reached on a path forward that could promote consumer choice without compromising safety, particularly by using short range wireless technology instead of broad remote access. So let's call the safety argument what it is, a smokescreen. It's a convenient and emotionally resonating excuse to justify anti competitive behavior. From all the evidence, it appears automakers aren't just trying to protect you from hackers, they are trying to protect their profit margins from competition. They aren't worried that your local mechanic is incompetent. They're worried that he's affordable. The debate they have framed is a distraction from the core issue, creating a closed ecosystem where they are the only game in town, allowing them to dictate prices and control the flow of billions of dollars. Because when you buy a car from a dealership, doesn't matter which one you buy it from. If all the parts to repair that vehicle is exclusive through that dealership, if you don't like their prices, you got to buy another car. And since the parts are exclusive, the value of your car is depreciated because who's going to fix your car? Their dealership. What value do you think they're going to buy your car for if they know that your car is broken, needs to be fixed? Far less than what it's worth because they're going to take the blue book value of your vehicle and then subtract the repair cost from the blue book value of your vehicle and then offer you a subpar offer to buy your vehicle back from you. Because before they offer you a check, they do a diagnostic scan on your vehicle. So if your vehicle is currently broke, they're going to give you less for your vehicle than what they would have gave you if the vehicle had nothing wrong with it. So you can't win for losing with that scenario. This brings us back to where we started. Donald Trump claiming that auto executives asked him for legislation that would prohibit people from fixing their vehicles. Now, as we've established, there isn't a specific bill with that title being pushed as of yet, but Trump did not name a specific proposal. And he made a strange, unverified claim about someone getting 7 years in jail for fixing their own car, a detail no reporter has been able to substantiate. So, was Trump's claim just political theater? Yes and no. While this specific uh, of this particular situation is a little bit fuzzy, his statement was politically brilliant because it tapped directly into a deep well of frustration that we've just spent this entire time exploring. He gave a voice to that feeling every person has when faced with an outrageous repair bill. The feeling that you don't truly own the things that you've paid for, like an HOA. You own the house, but you've got to answer to Karen in order to do whatever you want to do in your own house. You got some overbearing HOA facilities that are all in your yard and all in your house, messing with your property because of HOA guidelines. While you own it, you don't really own it because they own the land that your house is on and they can foreclose on your house for unpaid HOA fees. So you either have to pay the cost or sell your house. That's going to be the same thing that's happening with the manufacturers with the vehicles. As newer model cars come out in 2027 and in 2028, they're going to continue to add more and more dealer exclusive parts where you're either going to fix it with the dealer at a high premium or sell the car. But the problem with that is that if you buy the car cash up front and save money on financing and then sell the car when repairs are needed, then at the end of the day, the car is not going to be worth nearly as much as what you paid for it. If you finance the car, right, money lost until such time as you trade the car in and get another car, right? Now, the other issue you're going to have is probably cheaper to lease the car, but it's guaranteedly not yours. Yes, they'll fix whatever you need to fix on a car, and yes, it'll be dealer exclusive, and a lot of it will be covered under the warranty as long as you don't crash the car and fuck everything up. But now you never own the car. You're just borrowing it for a price. And when truth be told, when too many parts on the vehicle become dealer exclusive access and the repair bill becomes that high where the cost of repair is higher than the cost of leasing a car, people will stop owning vehicles and start leasing vehicles, which will then take away from the repair shops that used to fix owner occupied vehicles, which will put independent mechanics out of business. And it'll really overturn the ideology of salvage yards. And then the worst part is that when you have a lease car that you trade into the dealership, and then the dealership decides that they don't have a use for that car anymore, they're going to sell that car to the auction, which is going to sell that car to a used car dealership where or and that used car dealership is going to have a hard time getting rid of that car because who's going to fucking fix the car? You got to bring it back to the dealership. And if a mom and pop shop is charging dealership prices because of the extra fees from the dealership, and they're going to be charging more than dealership prices because if the dealership is going to charge you $2,000 to do it, and they might charge the mechanic 1,800 to use their equipment, you're still paying $2,000 with the mechanic. The mechanic's going to make a $200 profit on labor, but if the mechanic's trying to undercut the dealership cost minus labor, I got to charge less labor so that you can feel a profit as a customer, which means I'm going to get less money as a mechanic. The more money is going to go to the dealership just for the independent companies to stay afloat. This pattern, distilling a complex situation into a simple declarative statement, is a hallmark of Donald Trump's political style. And it's exactly what he's doing with the Iran situation. So he's framed a fragile conceptual negotiation as a great settlement that is already done in nature. But in both cases, he's taken a complicated reality, either a multi-front corporate strategy to control the market or a delicate diplomatic negotiation, and framed it as the simplest possible terms. They don't want you to fix your car or the war is over. That's how he soundbited it. And we experienced what 30 cents a gallon going down immediately after that discussion occurred, but nobody looked to see did they ever sign the paperwork. The answer is, as of today, no, they did not. The right to repair is one of those rare issues that completely scrambles the traditional political map. It's not a left wing or a right wing issue. So nobody can say that Democrats are idiots because of this bill. And nobody can say that they hate Donald Trump because of this bill. Instead, it is a truly bipartisan issue. The main bill in Congress, the Repair Act, has sponsors from both parties because it appeals to conservative values of property rights and liberal values of anti monopoly, pro consumer actions. And let me tell you, people hate liberals and they hate Democrats because liberals give people more freedom and liberty to do whatever they want to do on their own without government oversight or big business oversight. And people don't like liberals because they don't like the unorthodox free spirited behavior that a lot of people do because they do too much with the freedom to perform in some situations. But pro consumer actions means that if you want to put a lift kit on your truck, if you want to drop your truck and you want to have the front higher than the back, stupid crap, then liberal, you can do it. But a lot of those folks are Republicans doing that. But the dynamic is that if you want to do something strange with your vehicle, you're free to do it because you own it, you bought it. That is your liberal freedom to modify your vehicle as you see fit. Now, it's not that free, right? You're no longer liberated. You are confined into a box of serialized authorization. Trump's statement, whether he understood it all with the details or not, threw a national spotlight on the fight, making millions of people aware that a battle for their rights as owners is happening at all, because not a lot of people knew about it until I started talking to you guys about it on tonight's show. This bipartisan appeal is why actual legislation being debated in Congress has sponsors from the both parties. Because since that main bill on the table is a Repair Act, which stands for right to equitable and professional auto industry repair. That's what it's called. This proposed bill would legally require automakers to provide vehicle owners and independent shops with the same access to repair data, diagnostics, and tools that they provide to their own dealerships. And it would essentially make a previous voluntary agreement legally enforceable, right? Which means that you need to contact your local executives and write letters to your political parties that are going to be voting on this bill and let them know, hey, I voted you in. You want me to vote you in? It's an election year. You want me to keep you in your chair? Don't let the automakers stop me from customizing my car. This is how the power to vote actually impacts, especially on an election year. Any senator that you are represented by that doesn't support your ability to keep your car garage built by yourself, your homeboy, the under the oak tree mechanic with 240s, two zigzags. You know what I mean? You can't keep things the way they are. Each one of them, you like, nope, voting you out of office. Each congressman that doesn't want to do that, that's how you control the narrative. And with 380 something Americans, 380 something thousand, well, 380 something million Americans in the population, if 60% or 70% of Americans are like, hey, if y'all stop us from fixing our shit, I'm voting you out of office. I can guarantee you that they're not going to allow automakers to restrict people from doing things that they need to do. They will be forced to release that data. They'll release it for a price, but it'll be way cheaper than it mandatorily having to come from the dealership. Because right now it is dealership access information only. If it becomes mandatorily released, just like you can go and get a diagnostic computer from all the vehicles that have ever been made before the year that you bought the device, that's because they made that repair information accessible, right? After the fact. So all of the 15, 20-year-old cars, there's an ECU or OBD2 reader that tells you what's going on with those vehicles. And then you can clear codes on those vehicles and reset the system and check for false codes and stuff to that effect that you will not be able to do when they restrict you from doing it in the future. Steven says, I need that old head with the runny nose to fix my car. He's cheap and comes with when I call in 15 minutes. Bo, I'm gonna tell you real quick. If it ain't the old head with the runny nose, because I know who you're talking about. You got your boy, typically bald head, tattoos, look like he just came out of prison. Always wearing a Kevin Federline t-shirt and some fucking sweats. Got his own toolkit, and he show up, and all he charge you is 2 cases of beer and a bag of weed. I got you, bro. I'll go buy you some rolling papers, get you a lighter, and I'm gonna tip you 3 cases of beer. And they'll sit outside. We call them under the oak tree mechanics. They'll sit outside in the shade and work on your car until that motherfucker runs. I ain't even gonna cap. Matter of fact, I'll pick them up, drive them to the house, leave them with the car, go to the store, and they'll be looking at me like I'm about to go and buy me a house party. Like, nah, this for the mechanic. This for the mechanic. You got something special today? Yeah, he about to fix my transmission. A keg. Call the neighborhood pharmacist and be like, hey man, I need an ounce. The mechanic is here. Oh, the mechanic is here. Yo man, I'll give you a discount if you let him do my alternator. Pull up. Now we got a repair party. We got 3 cars sitting on jacks. Everybody car getting fixed in my front yard. I don't got an HOA, so I don't give a fuck. When the police come up, he gonna be like, "Hey, you want to check my brakes while I'm here?" That's back in the day. You don't get that kind of treatment when you go to the dealership. With the dealerships are now charging like $250 an hour. Aftermarket mechanics are charging $85 to $100 an hour. So when you start talking about this surcharge that they're going to have for dealership exclusive equipment, you're looking at an extra $250 on average for every single thing that's an electronic piece that has a serial number certification requirement, right? But even in this battlefield, the legislative process is ongoing, and the auto industry has an immense lobbying power that is working behind the scenes to influence any legislation that threatens their control. Remember, I told y'all dark money moves money around. There's another proposed piece of legislation called the SMART Act, which tackles design patents on common collision parts like bumpers and fenders. This bill would reduce the time automakers can use these patents to block cheaper aftermarket replacement options, but it has also not been passed yet into law, which means that if you buy a brand new car, let's look at, because I want to use this as in an example where the young boys can understand it. Let's say you buy a Hellcat Scat Pack, right? And let's say you want that wide body kit. You can't put it on the car because they're not allowed to make it yet. The car just came out. You got to wait a little while. But this law passes, it's not going to take that long to uh, replace the body parts with aftermarket parts. But let's say for the average individual that gets into a regular fender bender and they just want their Mercury Grand Marquis to be replaced, or their Lincoln Town car to be replaced, or let's say that you got an Escalade and you want the body parts to be replaced with an aftermarket cheaper part, not a dealership exclusive part. This law will prevent them from delaying your ability to get an aftermarket carbon fiber model that's cheaper than the one that the dealer made. Where the dealer might have made a polyester blend model that isn't flexible. The aftermarket carbon fiber model not only more durable, also cheaper, and you can just repaint it, slap it on the car, and you're good to go. I just want to tell y'all, these are Democrats. So while y'all hate the Democrats, while y'all hate liberals, liberals are saying, "Hey, let's not have the automakers overtax the average person on the body parts to replace their vehicle after a crash." The liberals are saying, "Hey, let's not let the automakers overtax people who bought their car from a used car dealership, or bought their car out of an auction, or bought their car from a police auction or raid or something like that." Right? That's what they're saying. So when I told y'all back in the day, I said y'all need both sides. But what you need to do is you need to figure out how this directly impacts you so that you can call your local representative and have them represent you the way you need to be represented. This is going to be the real political landscape. It's not one big scary bill to ban repairs. It's a complex multi-front war. On one side, a partisan collision of consumer advocates and independent shops. On the other, a powerful auto manufacturer fighting to keep their system closed. Trump's statement, whether he understood it or not, threw that spotlight on the fight and his niche policy debate to frame it simply as they don't want us to fix their car. In doing so, may have done more to advance the cause of right to repair than years of quiet advocacy, simply by making millions and millions of people aware that there is a fight even happening at all, just by talking about it, just by saying, hey, they're telling me right now that they want me to ban y'all fixing y'all cars, right? Now, I know y'all remember back in the day, there was this one dude who turned his gas powered car into a hydroponic car and then they arrested him and seized his vehicle. I'm talking about like patent infringement or some other shit. Then you had the other guy that got in trouble with Tesla because he turned his Tesla into a gas model car because Tesla wouldn't give him the equipment to rebuild the car after he fished it out of the water. All of these issues are issues because intellectual property, they do not want the property to be modified in certain ways, like fiat. Fiat won't, you don't own a Fiat. Not Fiat's Ferrari. That's what it is. It's Ferrari. You don't own a Ferrari. You just have it. If you do something to the Ferrari that Ferrari doesn't like, they will not let you keep the fucking Ferrari. They will sue you. They will ban you from buying new ones. They will make you undo. Like there's so much stuff going on with, and you're paying millions of dollars to get a car that you have to keep stock. If you customize it in any way, you're going to be in a world of shit. That's where manufacturers are trying to keep their brand image. Fuck your brand image. If I buy it, it's mine. And the contract that we're supposed to have when I buy it is I can do whatever the fuck I want with it as long as I am not committing a crime. And modifying the vehicle should not be considered a crime. When I say committing a crime, it should be like theft or murder or some shit like that, vandalism to somebody else's property. But this car is my car, and I should be able to turn a Ferrari into something on 38s if I wanted to, which is stupid, very ugly way of a car. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do, and I should be able to do it because I own it, right? But the truth is, you don't own it. You lease the right to have it. It's still theirs. It's still their technological property, right? Now, in the end, the threat to your financial stability isn't a single bill or a single overseas conflict. It's a quiet two-front war. On the one side, the geopolitical tensions that can be spun by politicians and drive up prices at the pump. And on the other side, technical war waged by automakers with tools that you can't buy, software you can't access, data that you're not allowed to see, with software locks and proprietary parts designed for funneling your money away from you and your local mechanic all the way back to the manufacturer. They tell you that it's about safety and security, but the numbers tell a different story. This is a battle for control over a global repair market worth hundreds of billions of dollars. It's a strategic campaign to transform the very idea of ownership, turning the car that you bought into a service that you perpetually rent. The goal is to make the independent repair of your vehicle not illegal, but simply impossible. Donald Trump's claim that automakers want a law that ban you from working on your own car and about Iran might be an exaggeration of the legislative reality, but it is a perfect summary of the industry's intent. They may not be able to pass a law that says you cannot fix your car, but they are achieving the exact same results through the technology. His statement may have been simplifications, but it captured an essential truth about the direction that we're headed. The fight for the right to fix the things that you own is all too real. And it's a fight that will determine whether your garage remains a place of independence or just a parking spot for a product that you never truly own. The erosion of ownership is happening right now, and it affects millions of car owners. So, have you been forced to go to a dealer for a repair that you knew or your local car shop could have been able to do? It's a good question to think about. Have you been quoted a ridiculous price to replace a part that was locked by software? If so, share your thoughts in the comments because every story helps shine a light on what's really happening. Now, like we were talking about before, you will find right now we're in the generation that is happening in. So over the next 40 years of them continuously serializing all of their electronic components of their vehicles. And over the next 40 years, if something isn't done, then we will be in a position where we have absolutely no other choice. You buy a 90s model vehicle or a vehicle that was made before the 90s that's going to cost just as much as a brand new vehicle so that you can have a vehicle that has no electronic components where you can fix your own vehicle, and that's going to become harder to do because as they torched all the junkyards or a lot of the junkyards to prevent people from having replacement pieces, parts are going to be hard to come by. Once a vehicle no longer has a replacement part and you don't have the ability to modify that vehicle, you're stuck with the shell of a vehicle, which is a paperweight. There are still engine manufacturers that create aftermarket motors. Those aftermarket motors with aftermarket transmissions, aftermarket full-on drivetrains for old school cars that are not new school technology are going to be the only vehicles that will not be negatively impacted by this design. But you're going to go from chargers in your car, Bluetooth everything, wireless this, power window that, to manually rolling down your window, manual transmission, gear shifts, and turn dial analog radios, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get around the fact that the automakers are going to be ruining the ability for you to own and possess a brand new car. And when you're spending 55 or $75,000 for a 1990s model something or other that's getting 10 miles to the gallon, you're gonna be satisfied in one regard because people are going to be looking at your old school classic, but dissatisfied in another regard because you're still going to be paying high prices for repairs because you got to go to a custom mechanic in order to get your car fixed. You're still going to be paying top dollar for gas because you're going to be having a gas guzzler that requires premium octane. You're still going to be dealing with high costs for repairs because the parts don't exist anywhere. And a lot of the time, because the law still exists, that if the value of the car is less than the repairs, or if the repairs is more than 50% of the value of the car, that a lot of times they will salvage your car. And after you can get a salvage title for the car, but a lot of the times, once the government salvages your vehicle in an insurance claim, your insurance company will no longer insure the vehicle. Now you don't have coverage. They're forcing you to get away from a car that you own, that you control by yourself, and pushing you into something that has a constant cycle of trading in and returning the product back to the original manufacturer, where you will forever be renting the vehicle from them and you will forever be paying payments to them to fix it and hold on to it. And it's just, it's cheaper than getting an Uber everywhere, but it's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. If you don't own it cash up front, it's a waste of money. And if you're not leasing it through a business where you can write it off as a tax expense, part of your overhead, then it's a waste of money. And if they're going to force you into a situation where you're leasing a car on a regular basis, you should have LLCs. I tell you this all the time. Build yourself an LLC, build yourself a business, run this shit through the business, and then you won't have any problems. But you will have an LLC, register the LLC for the leasing of the car. I don't give a fuck if it's got to be a co-signer situation. This is going to the business. This isn't going to be a private vehicle. The business is going to be driving to and from the office, but the company is going to pay for the car. We're going to put the company accounts on it. The company is going to be part of the ownership of the car, blah, 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 blah. And then tax write off on the company for leasing the vehicle. That's going to be the only way that this makes sense. Because if not, you out of pocket 40, 50, $60,000 for a car that you never get to keep, and then you're going to be paying $2,000 for repairs for economy cars. You can only imagine what you're going to be paying for luxury cars. You're going to find yourself not being able to afford the cars unless you're investing in your future where your money's making more money for you and you have enough money in your brokerage account to do that. But in under that dynamic, you're still able to uh, pay attention to how your money is going to where you need it to go to, right? That's that's like really the best advice that I have for you. You have to pay attention to where your money's going and what it's going to, right? Because if you don't, then you're going to find yourself in a situation where your money is going to be siphoned out of your pocket by big business. And even when whatever Donald Trump does, whether he does it something for the people or if he does something for the automakers, whatever he does, automakers are still allowed right now to make dealership exclusive stuff and then make dealership exclusive services and then lease those services to automakers to the aftermarket manufacturers and still get some kind of a premium off of them until the laws are passed that forces them to release after a certain period of time access to this exact same data. But even when they do release it to the public, it's going to be released at a premium. They're not going to have standard codes. They're not going to be like a one code works for each car. It's going to be one code for each part on each car. And once they release it, yeah, the manufacturer's got it. So if this car ever needs to be fixed again, they've got the codes for it. But it's going to be one of those situations where they're probably going to be charging like a OBD2 reader that's going to be like a $15,000 or $20,000 OBD2 reader for each mechanic shop for all the codes on each car. They're gonna try to make their money off of this shit somewhere. So that's one of the reasons why I tell everybody it's like you got to pay attention to the legislation. You got to look and see what's going on so that you can see where you need to put your vote and where you need to put your money. One of the reasons why Steven says, oh, well, he's going to always keep old model cars. Now you see why that was a good decision to have. I told him, I said, don't just have one old car, have two or three old cars. You want to have two, so you have one going into the shop and one coming out of the shop. You want to have a daily driver, but you want to have a backup plan so that if you can't afford to fix one, you can park that one and still have two. That's one of the reasons why you do it. We've got a VTuber on here. Special shout out to the VTuber. But yeah, that's all we got for tonight. That we covered a lot of stuff over the last 3.5 hours. um, he said you gave me 80s Compton car dealer vibes. I can't see how. Because actually, uh, you, I don't even think you know what an 80s Compton car dealer looks like. But uh, typically, the used car dealers are gonna have like the full on white tee with some khaki pants, or they're gonna have the white button down with the black tie and some khaki pants, or they're gonna have like a colored polo shirt with some khaki pants. So me having a checker shirt with a red tie is not gonna be an 80s anything design. Actually, this would probably be more to the magnitude of like a 1960s or 1970s something or other. But, I'm glad that you were paying more attention to the outfit that I'm wearing instead of the conversation that we were having. So, special shout out to V2 because he hates YouTubers, and that's what he put up there as his name. So I already know that he came to heckle. But then we're going to give an extra special shout out to Steven, OG Kicks, Michael, and FX Trader for coming to the show. I seen for a little bit of time that Danny Steffen and oh man, I can't remember the other name that was off of here from Twitter. We seen Twitter up here. I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. I'm going to start by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you this information to make you guys higher value men. So, if You guys pay attention to the things in your life that are inside of your control that you don't like. You can make changes, put effort into making the changes for those things to improve your life, and then navigate around the things that are outside of your control. And one of the things we talked about today with the automakers and the gas prices is navigating around this situation, because you can't control the outcome. You can only deal with the outcome. If the outcome is outside of your favor and newer model cars are going to have all these restrictions on them, you're going to have to keep buying older model cars. In order for you to have accessibility to older model cars when you need them, you have to buy more than one car. If you're not going to waste a bunch of insurance on vehicles that you don't drive, you're going to want to have three cars that you bought and paid for at the house and only have one of them registered, because as long as it's registered, it has to have insurance on it. But if it's not registered, it doesn't have to have insurance on it. So you can have three cars, one plate, one insurance policy, one vehicle at a time, and then use it as your daily driver. And when that one breaks, put it in the shop and swap plates to the other vehicle and use the other vehicle. Or in a situation where you ain't got money to fix it, you can park that one, switch to another vehicle, use the other vehicle, and then put one of the three in the shop and have one at the house, and then keep the cheapest one to fix in repair, and the one that doesn't need fixing on the road, and the one that costs the most to fix in the back, and you always got an extra vehicle. And that's probably going to be the best way to navigate around this particular situation. And then, as I told you guys about the gas prices, outside of investing in the stock sponsor real estate that I tell you guys about, you have the opportunity to also double down and go and buy those 20, 30, 40 gallon gas cans and put them at your place if you have a place to store them. And then use that when gas prices are cheaper and stock up on gas. Then when gas prices go up a little bit, you're not going to be impacted by the temporary influxes of gas prices. And you'll also have extra gas at your house for when natural disasters come and you need generators and everything to that effect. You bought gas when gas was cheap. That makes it easier on you. Preparing for certain things that are outside of your control, that allows you to navigate life a whole lot easier. Now, ladies, while this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can make yourself higher value women by paying attention to your 20 and 30 year plan, reverse engineering that to what you need to do today, proactively performing your plan on a day to day basis, then keeping your eyes and ears open for the potential suitors that have the right personality characteristics, drive, ambition, dedication, admiration, the people with the right integrity to achieve their own goals, and then pay attention to their goals and see how their goals mesh with your goals. Because y'all don't have to have the exact same goal, but if you both have long-term satisfaction goals instead of short-term gratification goals, you can both grow together and work on each other's goals and accomplish each other's goals together. I tell you guys on a regular basis that two people can make it to $1 million faster than one, but you both have to have the same drive and ambition to have long-term satisfaction. Because if one of you is living in the moment and the other one is preparing for the future, you're always going to have a financial conflict. One's going to feel restricted. The other one's going to feel that you're wasteful. You're always going to be disappointed in the other person, and you guys will always find yourselves falling apart because you don't have the same financial strategies. You don't have the same views on money, and that's going to be one of the biggest things before religion, before politics, is your beliefs on how money should be made, saved, invested, spent, wasted, utilized for luxuries and entertainment, because that is going to be the fundamental core of how your relationships survive. And that's also going to be the fundamental core on, if you're involved in a relationship, how you will subsidize the relationship. Because if one person is taking more money out of the pot than the other person putting into the pot, you're never going to make strides towards your goals, and you're going to feel like this is an unachievable life goal and you're going to give up on your dreams. Whereas the other person who's taking money out of the pot is going to feel restricted because their partner continues to complain about the money coming out of the pot. And you're going to feel less satisfied because you're going to feel like you're being parented by your partner because they're micromanaging your transactions because they're trying to build a future of retirement. If you guys are building a future of retirement where eventually we're going to reach a point where we no longer need to work and we have more than enough money to survive, even if we upgrade our standard of living, we have more than enough money to survive. We may even have enough money to go on vacation on a regular basis. That type of lifestyle to work towards together is better than living in the moment and going to the club this week because it's Obama's birthday or Obama Day, right? That's the stuff that people don't pay attention to. Now, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. We got a lot of stuff coming up for tomorrow and the rest of the week. We've actually been scheduling shows all the way through September. So make sure that you guys hit those notification buttons on all the shows that you're going to be watching at least over the next couple of weeks. And then keep your eyes out for the membership. because as I told Stephen, I'm going to be curating a lot of stuff for the membership and putting it in. And one of the things that he asked me for as one of my members for a detailed walkthrough on an investment plan to rebalance the portfolio. And I'm going to be trying to create a step-by-step between tonight and tomorrow rollout on how he should invest the stocks that he has, and what to do and when to do it at on a weekly basis, where he has an understanding of uh, um, how he should be able to keep for high returns to rebalance in, or just balance stability his weekly investment opportunities. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure that y'all take a look at the membership and see what we got going on, because we typically put a lot of stuff in the membership. And as I said before, we probably got about 25 or 30 entries that are going to be going in over the next 15 to 20 days, where all of the last 6 months worth of information that we've talked about on the show should be going into the membership over the next 30 to 45 days, where you'll be able to go through the entire history of the membership and see all of the financial information that's been put in there, and all of the other personal strategies and everything that's been put into the membership to help you be a better you and help you work through a lot of your problems. Anything that's interfering with your ability to make, save, and invest money, because that's really what it is. Personal decision making costs money, and investment opportunities cost money. But your personal decision making takes money out of your pocket before you start investing, right? Just like I talked to you guys at the beginning of the show about one of my buddies. Impulse made a financial decision that negatively impacted his car note. Had he waited until after his car note was paid and then made that financial decision, he would have been able to achieve that goal and his car would have been paid. But because he did that first and then realized, oh, dip, I can't pay my car now. Now he's in a financial bind. It requires for you to plan this ahead, cover the spread, sometimes save a little bit of money before you take a financial leap. Because investing in a secure card that doesn't work for paying your car note when your car is supposed to be paid in cash requires you to save money for the secure card first, and then take advantage of the secure card after you've paid your car note with whatever money you got left over. But a lot of the times what we do from 18, 19, 20 years old until we're 40, 50 years old is we learn from mistakes. You can learn from a lot of mistakes, but you can also learn from the information that I give you, because not only have I experienced some of these mistakes, a lot of people have experienced a lot of these mistakes, and I'm culminating all this information together and I'm providing it to you guys on a regular basis so that y'all can use this. And if any of this information resonates with you, if any of this information touches a nerve where either you've gone through it or somebody you know have gone through it, take the opportunity to not only like and subscribe to the channel, but also share this information with somebody that you know, because they could be like, oh, damn, I didn't know that this was out here. One of the most underrated, overly profitable podcasts that you could benefit from. Not meaning I'm going to make a profit. You're going to make a profit off of coming here. Right. And this is something that, and we're here 7 nights a week. So make sure that y'all come back and take a look at what we got going on. All right. Now, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.